Welcome back to the Culture Crusade, and gentlemen, we have a lot to celebrate today. How are you going? I assume you're all doing pretty happy.
It's
been pretty good. It's been pretty good couple of days.
Yeah, it's been a wild week.
Indeed.
I mean, last live stream, it was the day before the election, and we're just like cautiously optimistic. And look, I said in that live stream that from all the signs I saw, I expected a landslide, but I did also expect that last election as well. And so it was the shenanigans that we were concerned about.
And it was last election as well.
I was.
See, the thing we were worried about was the cheating.
Yeah.
I was. See, and that's where my concern was. Is leading up to this, because I saw so much more just in my personal life online. I saw so much more support for Trump, and I'm just like, oh, they're gonna steal this. And that, like, when they took that shot at him and grazed his ear, and then it was buried in like 3 days, I was like, oh.
They knew they were losing, so
they did. But I mean, but also you can look what they did in 2020, and I was like, the only way to beat this is for everybody. Dude, he took 46% of New York. Was it 46% of New York? He took 39% of California.
He was within I think 4 points in New Jersey or something like that. Which is insane.
Like, I look at the New York thing and I'm like, if he would have flipped New York and all of the Republican voters realized, oh crap, we actually have a say.
We're going to talk about this extensively. That's going to be the subject of the thing. Sorry to cut you off first. Now that, but Buddy Right for $2 says, nah, winning was easy. The hard part starts now. Well, we're going to talk about what starts now and the implications of it, because Trump has dropped some bombshell statements on the matter of free speech, and we are going to be going through that.
I would just like to point out that we have had all-time highs on Bitcoin every single day since Trump, and it's $89,000.
You're all missing the point. You're all missing the point.
That's a good point.
Not all of you are wrong. You're all missing the point.
$89,000.
No, you're all wrong. The most pertinent point here is Brandon Herrera wants to be the next director, the greatest and last director of the ATF.
He'll go in and just fire everyone.
Gone. Fire everybody. Be gone, NFA, all of it.
Dude, that guy, what's his name that's going to be the new border czar? That guy's freaking.
That guy is
nothing made out of testosterone. That dude.
So you work for me. I'm a taxpayer. You work for me,
dude.
Like, I saw that clip with him at AOC, and AOC is like, "You are charging them with like a crime," and it's like they committed a crime by entering illegally.
No,
and then he mentions the statute.
She's like, yeah, but them being here isn't. He's just like, yeah, but them being here isn't a crime. And he goes under Section 8 of, and he lays out the exact section. And he's like, it is a crime for them being here. If they don't want to be here illegally, they can come through the port of entry. And I was just like, just
destroyed
that bitch from orbit. Oh.
And then that other interview where he's like, is there a way to get make people leave without breaking up families? It's like, yeah, the families can leave with them.
Yeah. Send them together. Oh shit.
Make masculinity great again.
Oh, dude.
Guys, I'm so happy for the US. I mean, it's already healing. The effect that is happening from the election is so crazy fast. Like, Putin is not asking to stop the war.
Yeah, Hamas backed down. Hamas backed down, said that they would like to stop. Xi Jinping called the next day, said they love America, or put out a statement, we love Americans, we want to work with Americans, all of that. Like, you had the governor of New York rescind all of the benefits they were giving to the illegal immigrants.
You have South Korea keeping Johnny Somali for 10 years. Like, the world is healing. The world is healing.
Right? I forgot about that. And not only that, but let's also not forget Mike Tyson's gonna knock the fuck out of one of the Paul brothers next week.
Like the cherry on top. If Mike Tyson knocks out Logan Paul.
Oh, dude, I won't say I've never, but I think it's just passing in a restaurant one time. They had boxing on television. I've never watched a boxing match intently in my life. I am going to watch the Mike Tyson.
I've only ever watched Mike Tyson fights.
I think I'm going to watch the Mike Tyson Logan Paul fight. I want to watch that.
I don't care to watch it. I just want to hear what happens afterwards. But listen to this guy, right?
The Trump effect. Here we go.
Yeah.
There's no audio.
Muted.
It's muted. There's
What
no
the
audio.
hell? What the hell?
No.
How dare that not do the audio, you piece of crap. Hang on.
He took away his voice, Shad.
I know. I said Shad.
This is free speech. Stop taking away the free speech of people by muting them, Shad.
This is...
by the way, Shad, outrageous. Illuminati confirmed.
Look, all right? Okay, I'm just saying it's a really simple thing. Have you ever done this, Royce? Ever done this?
Yeah, yes.
Where you rest your hands
so many times.
and then relax it and move them forward and holy crap, I'm at the Illuminati! Because people were posting like,
that is
who the hell?
Wildest.
Share that. I think it's worth
Illuminati gang sign.
Oh my god, dude, it's wild. Just the NPCs online. They're like, do you see this? Do you see how they? I'm like, do you see how they all fold their hands? I'm like, yeah, everybody does that. Like, it's not what. What are you talking about?
It was kind of funny because so good old Garrett actually points this out. Like, hang on, this is oh my gosh, they put their hands together, right? It's like, it must be.
Dude, I've sat like that many times. To hell on the show. It's just you can't see my hands.
Can you do that and not have the hands fold that way?
Well, exactly. You do this, and then when you lean forward and stretch them out, it's like, I'm the Illuminati.
Oh, that would, to be fair, that would be pretty brilliant for a hand sign because it's naturally done, so anyone can do it.
I mean,
well, and if you notice, all of them are different. Every single one of them is different because that's their level of comfort where they hold their hands. Everybody has
also,
their.
Do you really think they would allow Kamala Harris into that club? Like, I don't think so.
No, the other two guys are white as fuck.
Your IQ has to be this tall.
By the way.
That would disrupt the dignity, the sheer wonderful dignity of the shadow government. I think
this is not to say that I don't think they have certain signs and combinations that they use to hint and to, have you have seen that Bohemian Grove video and stuff where some really dark. I'm not saying I don't think that's going on. I just think this is not one of their signs. I think that one's just a hand thing. You guys got to look closer, find the real ones, and expose that. Okay. All right, but let's get back.
They all wear suits too. I think that's a sign of the Illuminati.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let me see if this audio is shared.
Donald Trump's not even
there. It is.
Audio?
Yeah, there it is. There it is.
President yet. Have you seen what's happened in the last 48 hours? The misogynist appoints the first ever woman to be chief of staff.
It's just so funny. It's like, it's such a misogynist. He appoints a woman.
Well, he was also in his last presidency. He was actually because he was the first person to appoint a gay person to a cabinet position. It's so funny. Okay.
Hey, Socrates McGoat for $2 says, Shad, what has been the reaction in Australia? We're going to get into that, Socrates, because it's been mixed and it's some important reactions. We'll be talking about it. Thank you for the super chat. And then we got a $20 from Anime Fan 3794. $20. Shad, a bit of interest for you because of medieval weapons. YouTuber Houston Jones titled "Destroyed by Medieval Warhammer" for sites. I've already seen it. Content one very fit man letting his assistant hit his unarmored body with a warhammer. It was a hilarious video. It was also very it's so stupid to do that, but I get it. That's his shtick. I've seen him.
Oh, dude,
I might do a reaction.
Have you seen him with Kentucky ballistics?
He's a funny guy. I've seen the ones where he's done like whip compliant pain weapons. So, the metal whips. And look, he's a funny guy. I think seriously, hitting yourself with a warhammer though, real warhammers, that's just like
look up the Houston Jones videos with Kentucky ballistics and Houston Jones shooting some of the world's most powerful shoulder fired rifles. And they do it in slow-mo and you just dude. Shooting, dude, and you can't help but just your body just contorts, and it's just like my God, and even he was like, yeah, that hurt.
All right, let us continue.
you.
Taliban announced they want peace with America and to be taken off the terrorist list. Putin came out and said that Western civilization is not an enemy. Mexico has started securing the border in, of course, response to tariff threats. Saudi Arabia is kicking out all of their Hamas leaders. New York is cleaning up their illegal migrant crisis. Xi Jinping came out and said he wants to peacefully coexist with China.
I mean, this is just hilarious. Like remember when Russia invaded Ukraine and everyone was saying, look, if Trump was in president, he wouldn't have dared do this. I think this is evidence of it.
Yeah,
right?
It's kind of became the idea of like having Biden in the seat of power is like the boss is away kind of situation.
Yes, yeah. And China was starting to look at their, hungry eyes on Taiwan and stuff like that. They were all seeing it as an opportunity because they knew how weak Biden was and he wouldn't do spit.
Yeah, a weak America is really bad for global stability.
Massively so.
I was talking with my buddy about this the other night too. I was like, everybody knows that Trump is the type of person to let the American military off the chain. And my buddy goes, well, we haven't seen that since World War II. And I was like, yes, we have. I was like, the highway of death in Iraq in the 1990s in Desert Storm. Go for you history buffs out there. If you're not familiar with what happened during that was Stormin' Norman deciding that he wanted to act so fast that Congress couldn't get in the way of the American military. And when you let the American military off the chain, we don't take prisoners.
No, I mean, look, when the US gets in the mix, they don't F around, right?
Ooh.
We saw that with World War II, and yeah. We are harboring for $2 says nature is healing. Yes, it's amazing. And Mike, you're absolutely right. Like I get really friggin' annoyed with Australians that don't like the US and stuff like that. And it's like, you freaking idiots, do you have any idea what we owe the US for the world? Like Australia, no joke, would be speaking Japanese if it wasn't for the US in World War II. Okay, look up the Battle of Midway.
How much easier it would be to watch
the Battle of the Coral Sea, right?
Midway was rough.
And the Battle of the Coral Sea, where the US was fighting for the Pacific Ocean to stop Japanese going down and taking over the rest of the Pacific, which include Papua New Guinea and Australia. And if it wasn't for some decisive battles of the US, Australia would have been screwed. You need America for world stability, right? And you need a good, strong president. And it's going to be really interesting how this is going to affect some really authoritarian bullcrap that our retarded prime minister is trying to pull over here. That's going to be the main topic of the discussion a bit later on. But first,
now I'm like super curious what Australia would be like under Japanese rule.
Well, because if America still won,
you would have the best toilets.
Well,
Dude,
no, that probably wouldn't happen. That probably wouldn't have happened because Japan was not a technological leader back in the time.
Yeah,
this is a katana,
dude. It took the power of two suns to get them on the side of technology.
All right here, knocking down an oni out here.
No, this is an interesting point you bring up there, Royce, because Japan was so isolationist and also like extremely xenophobic and racist in like that was their culture in World War II, right? You thought like the Germans were racist. Have a look at the friggin' Japanese. Like, holy, they took it to some crazy levels. And if you want to,
we were.
If you want to think how much the Japanese thought anyone who wasn't Japanese was subhuman, look up a thing called the raping of Nanking. Like, holy friggin' crap. Okay, and so it was because the Japanese got conquered that they actually were forced to let go some of their really problematic cultural elements, but it also enabled them to practice some important things like capitalism. And look at how much they've prospered since. All right. When you look at countries like compare North Korea and South Korea, one country has freedom and capitalism and the other country doesn't, and see which one is prospering. Look at how like massive amounts of money India has grown out of embracing capitalism, stuff like that. And so there is a system that's not perfect, but certainly helps more people come out of poverty than any other.
That's we would make Australia great again.
Well, if Japan, Australia, they would have had
that means a whole lot of different things with that accent.
If Japan took over Australia, they would have had to have not been defeated, which means we would be living in an authoritarian hellscape. But if they took over Australia, then they were defeated by America. And then, they had to practice the same free market freedom principles and stuff like that, capitalism stuff.
We would have gotten
Australia
around
might
to it.
be, well, actually, Japan is a complicated subject because, look, there's some really cool things about Japan, but there's also still some crap in Japan that I would not want to deal with. All right.
You like the tentacles.
Their copyright laws are friggin'
That's
tough.
China.
Don't get me started on Japan right now, dude, because I'm watching what Nintendo is doing with the Power World thing and how they're manipulating their copyrights over there in order to try to make it. That story is wild.
They also don't have really free speech. They have like an honor law. So if you
No one has
if
free
you-
speech
if-
except America. Let Dev. No
I know,
one has
like,
free speech.
it's really
except us.
interesting. So because in Japan, if you insult someone, even on social media, they can sue you, even if it's true.
Well,
So
I mean, it's better than like making them.
See,
commit
Japan isn't
thefts.
perfect.
They're getting better.
yeah, but you can't.
The
really-
only reason that
You
people
used to have to kill yourself
Okay,
after you
the
did
only
that.
reason that the modern day Western world thinks that Japan is awesome is because of waifus.
And anime.
An anime, yeah.
Waifus
and
more
these-
specifically.
It's because of that honor system and all that it's all built in. Dude, you could leave your wallet in a cab in Japan and the cab driver will literally bring it back to wherever he's
See,
dropped you off.
And
Those
that,
are
and
some
that is a
positives.
good thing. And that's a good thing.
But there are also negative things, and it's a bit of a balance. Like every country has their pros and cons. Like there's a lot to love about Australia. There's a lot to get pissed off with Australia as well. At the moment.
God,
anime
fan.
Avatar lover. I like capitalism. Tastes like not starving. That's a great one. Anime fan. 37.90. I mean, maybe the Japanese could have beat the emus.
There's like a giant like wave of samurai attacking with katanas.
Look. We have never accepted
They
defeat.
got
The
long
war is
necks.
still waging.
It's easy to.
The war is still waging. Don't even go there. Like when we will be victorious in the end.
Teriyaki
Alexander Cross for $5 says,
is
to
delicious.
paraphrase Churchill, capitalism is the worst system devised by man except all the others. Brilliant. Friggin' brilliant,
And
Alexander.
the college student's like, oh yeah, Churchill's awesome. Look at this quote. Oh, wait a minute. And then you get to the end.
Yeah. And so, yes, it is so important that the US has a strong president now. And already he is hitting some like balls out of the park with some of what his statements, and people are instantly reacting. It's amazing.
And said that they respect American people. The European Union chief finally came out and said, hey, America, can we start buying LNG from you so they stop buying from Russian gas? Putin says he takes Donald Trump's
Natural
plan
gas is back on the menu, boys.
And Russia
Yeah.
supports it. The Houthis are stepping back. The Hamas called for an immediate end to war. He's calling for term limits in from Congress so that way people like Nancy Pelosi stop being forever members.
They came with term limits.
Crypto hit all-time highs.
Mike,
He
you
sent
like that
Kamala
one?
Harris and Hillary Clinton into depression.
Have you seen that?
That's the greatest achievement.
Have you seen the meme where it's got the Back to the Future music and it's back to the kitchen with them two
Back
there?
to the kitchen.
Back to the kitchen.
My response to this is like, it was like, yeah, Donald Trump is the it was something like, he's the only person to run up against or he was like, he's the only person to run up against two women and beat him or whatever. And my response to that, I posted this on Twitter, I was like, yeah, we call that bitch be gone. I went into election night and all I did, my wife and I were like, nope. I was like, I'm drinking and watching the election. That's what I'm doing. Because I was like, I think that their shenanigans are afoot, and I was worried about it. And the night's going on. I was like, I can't stay up till 3 a.m. And I was like, and it's gonna. So I went to bed at like 11 o'clock, and my wife taps me on the shoulder at like 2 a.m. because she was not about to go to bed, and she's like, hey, they secured it, and I was like, what? And I woke up the next morning, and I was like, wait, they didn't do it.
Yeah, because
They
you had freaking paranoia from the last time around because we went to bed and it was a cinch. And then we woke up and it was stolen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's obviously that line
Yeah.
chart, right? And there's like
The big F
Yeah.
you
That
to
was
America.
good.
Yeah.
And the big difference, I think, amongst because I shared some video, like a post on Twitter about shenanigans that already seemed to be underfoot. There was some dodgy stuff happening, but the big difference is that there was way more people watching for it, and
We were
so
ready.
we were ready for it.
They had lawsuits
the
already
lawfare.
filed.
The
Yep.
law. Oh yeah,
Like,
they are.
did-
Yeah.
Did you hear that there was one counting place, whatever, trying to send the observers away, and they came back.
They kicked the Republicans out. The Republican poll watchers kicked them out.
That was
the lawsuits were already filed, and they got them back in almost immediately.
That was in. There was.
That's right. Too big.
What was it? It was Pennsylvania or Georgia? They actually tried to kick the poll watchers out.
I think it was.
That's what we're just talking about.
Yeah, I think it was Pennsylvania.
It was Pennsylvania. That's right. Yeah, it was Pennsylvania. They tried to kick
in order for them to steal it like last time, it has to be close. That way, they can just like come in with a few boxes and boom. Oh, it looks like Biden won. Oh my goodness. So, but this time it wasn't close. It was like landslide. Because I think a lot of people, the Democrats labeled themselves the party of democracy and saving democracy. Yet they pushed a candidate that didn't win the votes in the final.
Nothing.
Wait a minute. What do you mean?
Like the past 3 or 4 elections, Miami-Dade County is like the last county in the entire country that counted their votes because they're trying to squeeze them out. And this time it was like literally the first county that got their votes in, and they were like up 6 points for Trump. I also, share this real quick. This is the Trump effect. See those last 7 big candles for Bitcoin? That's Trump right there.
Yeah.
From 69 up to almost 90 today.
69. Now it's time for new believable people.
I don't know what any of that is.
So thrilled. Yeah. Well,
money.
Good stuff.
It's the future of currency. Speaking of currency, one of the things that guy missed.
My biggest issue is that
hold on, Royce. I'm in the middle of a sentence. So one of the things that guy missed was that Putin came out and said that Russia will not be abandoning the dollar for the BRICS currency.
Interesting.
That's a big deal.
That's the force of the American military.
I mean, in the lead up to the election, the Dems were fighting tooth and nail to prevent voter ID and reverting to paper ballots, which would secure election integrity so much more than the vulnerabilities at the moment. And the logic is so simple. I shared a tweet about this, right? Like, only cheaters want to make it easier to cheat. Okay? And so if the Dems were so desperate to prevent securing elections, what does that mean? It's friggin' plain as day. All right. And
you're just a bigot, Shad. You're just a bigot.
Clearly.
Well, the beautiful thing about that is that now there's certain Democrats saying that the Republicans cheated. So now they want to audit elections. And we're like,
let's do it. Let's go.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Let's do this. We'll audit this one, and let's do the let's just
do the last
10.
What would be better is that they're saying that Kamala Harris is like raising money to make the recounts
because she
like a scam to me.
$1.2 billion plus.
They still owe money.
Did you see? All those people like Megan Thee Stallion and Beyonce, all those people, they were getting Eminem. They were all being paid influencers. It's like they were trying to sell a meme coin. Instead, they were trying to sell a freaking president. And it's like, this doesn't work like that.
I think it was like it came out that Oprah was paid like $1 or $2 million or something like that
for one speech.
Endorsement.
Yeah, I like it.
Paid endorsements. This is so pathetic.
And Trump spent $10 million on his entire campaign, apparently.
and it's so funny because, like, you've heard that she might be in debt now by what? $20 million?
$20 million. And that's the greatest troll is Trump saying, I might help her out because she spent all that money left over debt now. So I think maybe I got to help her,
Dude. So I will say this, and I don't know how much effect it had, but it couldn't have no effect. Trump on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, yeah.
And then the day before the election, Joe Rogan drops his endorsement with Elon Musk. I don't think that that's insignificant. I don't know what number that is. I mean, maybe a couple of percentages, but enough.
Dude, there was so many.
All new media, man.
Yeah, there was so many like brilliant campaign moves Trump did. The McDonald's thing, friggin' genius, right?
The garbage man.
That was good, but the McDonald's thing was insane because Kamal's like, I worked at McDonald's, and Trump was like, all right, no.
And then McDonald's said that she didn't. McDonald's said that she never worked there.
And who was it?
Well,
it was
they said they didn't have any records of her.
It was when he was waving out the window. Somebody like they did the thing. They did the thing with a picture. It's a filter that you can do that makes it look like a picture. And they were like, "This is like it's not Rockefeller. It's not a Rockefeller. Rockwell painting. It was like an old Rockwell painting of him waving out the window, just that baked in Americana with the time." I'm like, I think that McDonald's needs to change their uniforms now to the white shirt and the red tie with the apron, because that was standard back. If you look at a lot of photographs and a lot of stuff from like back in the day when like ice cream parlors were like the big gathering in the meeting place, a lot of people wore something very similar to that. You can see it like if you think of like Back to the Future and stuff like that, you can actually go see it there. That was just baked in Americana. And he's sitting there with the red tie, waving out the window with the collared shirt. That is something that was brilliant. There's so much there. Just sorry, I mean, I'm jazzed up this week.
Like getting Elon, on board, and then Tulsi Gabbard and RFK.
Make America healthy again. I'm down.
Yeah.
Those were hammer blows, one after another.
Someone in a private chat today was like, guys, I have to tell you, Trump's not a Republican. He's an independent. He's working with Democrats. I'm like, yeah, because he's not a Republican. He's not. Republicans, Democrats, it doesn't matter. It's the establishment versus the people.
Yeah.
Genuinely, Tulsi Gabbard, freaking Trump. The people that he's picking this time around are not swamp creatures. They are anti-establishment, and they know how the system works.
Swamp creatures. Let's kind of define a bit clearer for people what a swamp creature is. It's career politicians that are there to make money and just get entrenched in the system, so they never have to leave.
And also
just
bureaucrats.
Benefit from bureaucrats,
and also
right?
unelected bureaucrats that are put into positions by those politicians you're talking about, who never the EPA, the EPA, the ATF, the IRS,
the
all
AMA,
of these people,
the FDA, every three-letter agency,
every three-letter. They were all of those people were hired by the career politicians. They never had to be elected, nothing. And these career politicians have just keep getting elected. And what do? They keep handing out favors and handing out jobs to their fucking friends.
Those favors, right? Like so many politicians get, what is it called? The palms getting greased in these backroom deals all the friggin' time, right? And it goes under the radar. It's just like, will you happen to support, this policy that might benefit our business? And if you happen to do, we might hire you to speak at an event and pay you $200,000 to speak at that event.
Yeah, and then when you retire, we're going to give you a 7-figure salary at our company, right? It's all a freaking shill game, man. It's all bullcrap.
Dude,
that's why Trump has to get in there this time and absolutely dismantle.
Well, that's why they're so afraid of Trump, because he was up front like, I can't be bought. I don't need money. I have my own money. I'm in it to just make America great. That was his slogan. And they're so afraid of him. That's why the whole establishment was trying to take him down, because he's going to gut it. And that's what we needed, something like this for years.
Here's what I heard the other day. There is a sentiment out there. They're like, this is not going to be the same Trump presidency. They're like, he was trying to work with people. He was trying to give
this time he's going into revenge.
This time, after all of the crap that they've put him through, and you're already seeing it with like his border czar and with who he is putting into cabinet position, you're already seeing it. Yeah. He's here for blood now.
He's balling this time.
Dude, he was like, he tried to play the game last time and realized that the game is corrupt, and now he's just going to take that whole game board and throw it out the window.
Yeah. He's
going for it.
We so desperately need something like this in Australia, because what's happening in Australia is both the principal left and right parties are supporting internet censorship and internet ID. Like we should, but essentially we don't at the moment, except some independents. You need to vote one nation, basically. They're the only hope, but they have such a small vote majority.
Shad, calm down and read that one. Wow.
Valiant Renegade. Holy
I got you, Valiant. Oh!
999. Well, $99.99.
Shit, I don't care. That's the same.
That's crazy, man.
Wow.
Wow, legend, man. Thank you so much.
God bless America.
Goes, Shad! Cheers! Trump won. We knew it. Tracked the data for months. Hollywood and legacy media furious. Oh, man, we could talk about that. We had America's most accurate pollster calling it on our show. Facts, talk, and BS walks. Valiant Renegade, legend, man. I've been enjoying watching you on all the streams as well, dude. You're an absolute hero, man. Love ya. Thank you so much for that.
Send him a link.
Dude, do you want to jump on? Yeah, hell yeah. I'm not sure yet. Do you have him on X? I'm not sure I got him. But my DMs are open, Valiant. If you want to message me, I'll keep an eye and feel free to jump on if you want to jump on, man. Because we are having a heck of a lot of fun right now. All righty. Thank you very much for that great super chat, dude. Love you.
Yeah, somebody mentioned up above when I was talking about Republican, Democrat, he said Trump is MAGA. And that's the thing. You can be a MAGA Republican, but you can be a MAGA Democrat too. I'm a MAGA independent, right? Yeah. MAGA is not a party. MAGA is anti-establishment.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, we need something like that in Australia, but we don't, which is the most concerning thing, because both political parties are basically, they have an agenda separate to what the electorate wants, and they're pushing it regardless of the blowback. We saw it with this thing called The Voice, the Voice to Parliament or something like that. Vote Yes, where they wanted an independent, unelected body to make policies and treat Australians completely separate based on skin color. And it was rejected when it came to the actual vote for Australians. Australians rejected it. If people actually, like these retarded politicians gave Australian a choice about the bull crap things that they're trying to push through in the law, like this censorship and age restriction on social media, they would get destroyed by the Australian people. But they're not doing it. They're pushing it anyway because, we're elected so we can, do whatever the hell we want. And it really makes me think that their palms are getting greased behind the scenes, backroom dealings, and it feels like some type of World Economic Forum agenda that, by the way, our politicians, seem to be connected to here in Australia. And so Trump, on the other hand, they can't buy him. He's not on board. Absolutely. Hey, Valiant Renegade. Yeah, man. Send me a DM. My DM should be open, and come jump on if you can, man.
On the people the people who bribe our politicians or whatever. Trump hates them. The assassin guy that from Pennsylvania was in like their commercial, the BlackRock commercial. I think it was BlackRock or something, right? The shooter was there. He was in the commercial, and they had to take it down real quick.
Wasn't that weird, dude?
I don't think it was weird at all. I think that makes sense. That makes total sense.
Absolutely. Hey, we might be having someone join us, depending on how long he can join us. But that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So there's a couple. Yeah, I wish. Oh man. Yeah, so
I didn't see the second one, but I did hear that both assassins were in BlackRock commercials.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how the one assassin house was completely cleaned and scrub free? There weren't even fingerprints.
Like,
it's just weird. He's
just a very tidy guy.
Like most psychopaths.
Just getting down with them Clorox. That Mr. Clean Magic Eraser, which by the way, I have children. If you have children, buy some Mr. Clean Magic Erasers. Right? I take it you've used them as well?
Sure. Yeah, dude, I have 5 kids.
Right. So this World Economic Forum, right? Like, there is such concerning stuff about this. Mm-hmm. Like Klaus Schwab and his lackeys. There are a concerning number of politicians that are members of it. And then interesting, they start to push policies that are promoted by the World Economic Forum. Yeah, well, I wonder where they're getting encouraged to do crap like that. Man,
Shad, that you're using your thinking brain. Stop doing that. That's
right?
not.
Well, that's where I think this is coming from with this Australian censorship crap. They want to put a limit on age usage for social media, which that is like such a Trojan horse, an evil because the only way to do that is to make digital ID. Make everyone in Australia have a digital ID, which means no anonymity online, which means the government can find out where you are, no matter what, no matter your age, for concerning posts that they don't like. Yep. And one of the things they hated so much during COVID was that they couldn't find out who were posting the truth about COVID and the lockdown bullcrap. Right, because so many of them were posting anonymously, and the people that they could find, they came down and freaking knocked down the doors and arrested them. No joke, it happened in Australia.
No,
yeah, so dude, you guys were put in camps for not getting your freaking vaccine.
Here's what's so strange too is like in the U.S., most of the COVID vaccine stuff is it's dead. It's dead in the water. Like Americans
and yet there's still people wearing their masks.
I know, but we call them retards. But what I'm no, but it's what's so weird is that in Australia, like that, your politicians seem to be kind of still butthurt about that. Our politicians are kind of nervous about doing anything like that again.
I don't know. That was guns. The other one doesn't.
I don't think AOC is nervous about it.
Yeah. To me, it was like almost a test to see how far the government could push control, and they kind of like getting conspiratorial. I don't know if this is the truth, but it could be, and it's just me being open to it. I wouldn't be beyond, entertaining the idea that the World Economic Forum, people like that, were like saying to certain governmental leaders in different countries, why don't you try this policy and see how you go with that? Or try that policy over there. All for safety. And Australia is I'm starting to worry that it's like a testing ground because it's a first world country. It's part of the Western world and everything like that. And it's like, all right, let's try and push something in Australia and see if we can get away. Let's try and test a ban for social media for under 16-year-olds as a Trojan horse to putting in digital ID and see if we can get away with it there. And if it gets rejected, okay, but if it goes forward, it's a testing ground. Let's see where we can push it elsewhere. I don't know if that's the truth.
It'll become exciting.
But I tell you what.
All right, mate. We see that you voted the wrong way, so we're going to go ahead and take out your electricity. Boom.
Well, you're going to clean out your bank account because you know don't have any crypto.
What level citizen are you? Did you pay your taxes? It looks like you don't get the electric company doesn't get you you get level 1 electricity. You can power a toaster in the morning sometimes.
That's almost the direction that the government wants to go. It wants more control, wants ability to police the internet.
All these leftist governments want to do that. And the leftist part of our government wants to do that. That's what the left is. It's totalitarian, authoritarian control over your entire lives. That's what the right... That's why it drives me nuts when people try to say the Nazis were right wing. It's like the right wing doesn't want government.
That's one of the main principles of small governments. Freedom out of our lives.
But if you do vote conservative in Australia, I assume that would mean that you get level 1 medical care, which means it's just suicide. And then level 2,
we're not Canada. We're not there.
An actual doctor level 2.
Dude, Canada's wild.
Luckily,
I'm just saying Canada took people's freaking bank accounts because they donated to people who the government didn't like.
Yep.
The thing about Australia, when the Australian people actually get informed, when the mainstream media can't control the narrative, like what we saw with the Voice referendum in Australia, the Australian people end up being surprisingly based. Okay, we don't want this crap.
Most people are.
She'll be right. Leave me alone. Well, this is the thing that Australia has a culture of she'll be right, mate. You do you, leave me alone, let me do my thing, right? That is an actual cultural thing that I love about Australia. I think that cultural element is just brilliant, where it's just this friendly kind of laid back thing. And the problem with it, though, it can be exploited, but it also can lead to Australians saying, get out of my friggin' life. The exploitation is when the government wants to take advantage of Australians' natural complacency that we can end up having, where too many Australians aren't paying attention, okay? The she'll be right attitude means that the government can just pull crap and we don't push back enough when there needs to be pushback, okay? And that's an issue. There was pushback, though. Some Australians are friggin' based as anything. And so that's like the first part of it. And because the she'll be right attitude also comes into the fact that, hang on, let me do my thing. Stop trying to control me. And when we get informed, we push back. The issue is about getting informed. So many Australians, especially those in the main cities, right? And those that watch the mainstream media channels, just they're under a delusion. People have been saying, what's been the Australian reaction, right? There's been a lot of Australians that just have swallowed the mainstream narrative about Trump. He's taking away rights. It's going to be the end of the world. And they have been brainwashed with complete lies, right? And they think it's the end of the world. And it's hard to reach those people. But once they are informed, then, you know, we push back. And so some of the base politicians have been pushing back against the stuff that's going on in Australia. Pauline Hanson, the leader of the One Nation Party, seems to be one of the only ones that's really doing. She's one of the, you know, there's a group of them, and she's one of the leaders that are really pushing back against it. But we'll talk more about that. I don't want to get too distracted from the election stuff. And once we wrap up, you know, what we want to say about the election, then we'll jump onto what's going on in Australia and Donald Trump's statements about free speech. But
one second, there's over 500 people here, and there's less than 200 likes. What are you people doing? Hit that like button. Come on.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We love you having you here. A culture crusade. We're going to keep doing it. It's a lot of fun. So something about the election that, you know, I'm glad people are pointing out. I think, you know, this needed to be pointed out. And it's the amount of votes people have been sharing between different elections. Have you been seeing some of this?
Dude, I've seen some Democrat and liberal people come out like, shit, maybe we actually did steal it in 2020.
Yep.
Like they were like, because it just doesn't, that jump. There's obviously, so here is, you guys know the Time Magazine article where they, you know, the shadow campaign where they fortified the election. You've heard about that.
Yeah. They bragged about it too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. They bragged about it too. Okay. So here is the normie take, and this is still going to sound wild to even normies, but the normie take is everybody was locked down in their houses during this election. They sent in mail-in ballots out the wazoo.
Bruce, I need to cut you off because look who we have here. We got Valiant Renegade joining us, mates.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's so great to be here, and hail to the vaunted 199 out there. I know they're in the chat, man. Shad, man, it's great for you and I to get together. Thank you so much for inviting me on, brother.
Dude, no, my pleasure, man. I've been loving watching all the live streams and the election live streams as well. And you've been awesome popping in where you have been. We've been loving your coverage, mate. And so thanks for joining us. It's great to have you.
Oh man, I tell you what, I am. This is a great honor. I can't thank you enough. I've been a big fan of yours. Night's Watch, Shadversity, the stuff you guys do with the reviews. Oh, good Lord, the teardowns of the Acolyte were epic. You guys were required viewing for me every morning after every episode came out. You guys were just so much fun to watch. I think you guys had the best teardowns. You and Disparu. You guys did amazing work, and I just look. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you so much,
dude. Our pleasure to have you, man. And so, what we've just started talking about is the interesting difference in the amount of votes between elections.
So crazy.
Isn't this crazy?
As you know, I spent 20 years now, over 20 years, as a somebody who has worked in the American financial industry. I'm a stockbroker. I'm an insurance producer. I'm a financial planner. I'm a numbers guy my whole life. All I do is my brain works in numbers. And in 2020, I was one of the guys out there that was getting derided and was getting shut down by American social media because I had the temerity to actually ask sensible questions like, this shit don't work. It's like,
I lost my YouTube channel. They just shut me down completely.
I abandoned Facebook right after the election because I didn't care. There was nothing there that important. I'm looking at this and I'm going, look, and this is this chart is great.
Yes.
But I wish this chart would go back to 2008. because 08 was even more historic because Barack Obama, as the first black candidate for president from a major party, like a legit nominated candidate, Democratic, like his 2008 election was historical numbers. And we look back on it now and it's like, okay, look, I didn't have an issue with it. I didn't like that he got elected because he was a radical. He was a Marxist. He still is a Marxist by definition. And I'm not saying that in a vacuum because, we studied his writings. The name of his book wasn't Dreams, from or Dreams of My Father. The name of the book was Dreams from My Father. Like he inherited them. And they were all very radical, anti-colonial, quote unquote, anti-capitalist, anti-American rhetoric.
Those are from his real father, not Barack Obama.
Okay, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to get Shad demonetized and jacked YouTube on the first time I'm on his show.
That's you guys can Google that. Well, not Google it.
Yeah,
Google that because Google's probably not talking.
Here's the thing. Joe Biden, who was a pathetic, worthless old piece of trash from old school Democrat Washington politics. He had been in Washington for like 5 decades at this point. This guy was a joke. He was a living, walking gaffe machine. My first foray into politics started when I was probably around the age of 13. I'm 45 years old now. So I'm literally 3/4 of my life almost. I remember in the day when Rush Limbaugh first started his television show, syndicated here in the U.S., I mean, Joe Biden was a frequent soundbite on his show every night because he was such a moron. And the stuff that he said was so ridiculous. And he was an old school Democrat racist. I mean, this was the guy. Somehow, this guy, as a nearly 80-year-old man, who was hidden in a basement the entire election cycle.
Yes, he couldn't get 12 people to the campaign.
Yeah, exactly. He couldn't draw flies to shite. This guy could not bring 100 people to a rally in 2020. Somehow, hiding in his basement with nobody excited about who he was, managed to pull off almost 15 million more votes than Barack Obama did in the most historic election in 2008. And everybody was like, this seems weird. Can somebody explain this? And everybody was shut down in social media. And hold
on. Also keep in mind that all of those votes came in at 3:00 in the morning.
Mike, I need to correct you. Mike, not all of them came in at 3:00.
Yeah.
Just enough.
Just enough.
When I was watching it go down, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And there was so many points of really dodgy stuff. Them trying to cover up the windows so you couldn't see them counting. People pulling out ballots under the floor.
They kicked out Republican poll watchers.
Even Tariq Nasheed was like, no, something's up. What's going on here?
They had actual footage, video footage of trucks pulling up at 3 in the morning.
Guys,
literally,
that was just them securing the election. It was the most secure election of all time.
Oh God.
The most
you know
secure...
what's funny that nobody talks about? I think it was Pennsylvania, somebody got a shot of them like dumping ballots out. The box was a Chinese like the Chinese version of FedEx.
Oh God.
I mean,
look, dude, I wouldn't have been surprised, Mike. I would not have been surprised if the ballots were actually printed in Chinese.
Oh yeah, and in Arizona where they were printing the ballots the wrong size for the Republican counties.
I remember
for some reason these don't read. How weird.
There was a guy whose job or past job was to determine or study fraudulent elections in other countries where they were really dodgy. Like, so there were some ones in
Jimmy Carter used to do that crap.
Right. And then came out and he said, so these are the signs of fraudulent election points. And he makes a list and he says, the 2020
was that the
election.
CIA guy?
It might have been him. He's like, the 2020
he
election.
said these are the tactics we used in other countries.
Oh, well, then he says, like, the 2020 election not only, like, qualifies for each point, but exceeds them. Like, and if he was studying, like, if this election was fraudulent or not, he was like, night and day obvious. It would be blatantly obvious to him. And that was just one among so many things. And now that we see this election result, and it's like, oh, what? The Democrats are suddenly missing like 11 million voters.
Yeah, that's it. It solidified the lunacy of the 2020 election. Like everything that we said for years, that this doesn't make sense. The math doesn't make sense. The fact that Joe Biden won with such a ridiculous number of votes, 80 plus million votes.
More popular than Obama, and is such a wet rag who could barely talk.
Exactly, but Shad, it gets even worse because Joe Biden managed to pull that off with like 10 to 15% even fewer counties in the United States than Obama did. Like Obama won...
a lot less than that. He had 450 counties when he won. Barack Obama won his election with 800.
Was it that many? Okay,
I think it was
huge.
And then Trump
counties.
But the weird part is Trump was over 1,000. He had more counties than Obama did. It
was a mathematical impossibility.
It was everything about it. When you looked at going in, when you looked at Trump's approval ratings. His approval ratings were relatively comparable to Barack Obama going into 2012. And look, people talk about like that election with Mitt Romney versus Barack Obama, and Barack Obama somehow pulled it out, even though his approval ratings were not fabulous, right? They were right on the margin of about 50%. But the problem was at the same time is that Mitt Romney was a very unlikable candidate. I hated Mitt Romney from the time I first met the man in 2008. He was plastic. He was fake. He was just unlikable. He was so,
and he still is.
He still is, exactly. And it's like, so I could accept the fact that the country was gaslit into voting for Barack Obama in 2012 because the Republicans put up such a crappy, lousy, goofball candidate. That wasn't the case in 2016. And it damn sure wasn't the case in 2020.
Well, and the Republicans didn't want Trump in 2016 either. But the Republicans, to their credit, weren't stupid enough to go against that amount of popularity.
This is also the problem with the Republican nomination process, because the real conservatives always get knocked out. And then the freaking middle milk toast people are the only ones left standing because they get knocked out by, siphoning off each other's votes because there's only so many conservative votes.
In the 2016 in the primary debates, I still voted for my boy Rand Paul. And now there's a rumor that maybe his dad might be working with. With old Trumpster on and Elon on some people.
Every anti-establishment person from any party or independence is going to help. You know what I mean? It's going to be through freaking.
I want to see it. I'm here for it.
I would tell people when it comes to Ron Paul being involved, I think it's great. I genuinely do. I'm looking like I liked Ron Paul, but I always recognized the fact that at a national level, he was unelectable, right? He was too far off the beaten path because there's not enough attention being paid to what Ron Paul was talking about to make him that level of a candidate to where he could pull that off. But that being said, temper your expectations if y'all think that, Donald Trump having Ron Paul come in, which he probably will, to be part of the administration. I think it would be a brilliant move. If people out there are thinking that means the end of the Federal Reserve.
Oh, no. That's
exactly.
not going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's not. But here's the thing, is that you could have Ron Paul come in and his influence could be such that the Federal Reserve could have a radical shift in tone with how
Ron
they
Paul
approach things.
He actually addressed this. He was being asked, if he could come in and dismantle. He's like, I can't dismantle stuff. What I can do is what I've been doing is I can go in, but he'd have the power of the executive. I can go in and I can find what's not working. I can audit, I can sue, I can get rid of people and reform inside the shell to make it something that works properly.
The idea of Ron Paul going in isn't to just eradicate all of the stuff that we don't like. It's Ron Paul going in and being yet another thing that is a step in the right direction.
Yes.
We're not going to get 100% of everything. Hell, we might not even get 10% of what we want in the next 4 years. But if we can get some of it, if we can start moving in that direction, we can get the rest of the country to go, oh, hey, this is really good for us. This helps us out. This balances the scales. We can push in that direction. That's where we need to go.
This is the thing. There's already signs of him delivering more than I was expecting, even more. Some of what Trump has been promising to protect free speech is everything I could have dreamed of and more. It's amazing. We're gonna watch the video where he breaks that down, because that's not just going to benefit America. That's world changing. That will actually affect the world, especially the bullcrap legislation our retarded prime minister here in Australia is trying to push through. And just look, if he just does that, I'll be freaking happy. But it's going to help the economy. He's going to be putting in those freaking tariffs, which are going to make people wake up. It's going to bring back oil to America. I mean, dude,
he's going to be an absolute champion on free speech, like somebody just mentioned. 230. He gave that whole spiel on free speech the other day, yesterday. Man, I was like, because I know people. I know Doug Tenaple, myself. I know a bunch of people who lost their freaking channels trying to talk about the stuff that we've been talking about tonight. And it's like, dude, I don't,
And here's the thing:
was a livelihood for Doug.
The old guard of Twitter not nuked him.
Yep, Jack Dorsey.
I don't think. Yeah, I had Jack Dorsey. Well, I don't know if it was Jack. Dude, Jack was a figurehead. If you think Jack was in charge,
he still had the voting power. It was still ultimately up to Jack.
Okay, yeah, that is true. I did forget about that. But when
he rolled over to a lot of pressure too easily from
I think Jack's the type of guy that he's going to go whichever direction makes him the most money. I really think that's just what he believes.
Well, anyway, he was a lousy CEO. That's all we can say about
had they not nuked Trump off of Twitter, I don't think Trump would be going in as hard as he is on some of this. And I'm glad. Well, this is a man who the system
bring up an
went
interesting
after,
point,
and they couldn't bury him.
Well, no, you bring up an interesting point. It was the unhinged level of deranged opposition that the Dems were pushing that got Trump elected. Okay, it's the fact that they tried to kill him, and that helped him out
three times, right?
And they showed, and every time that he kept beating them, they got more unhinged and deranged and pushing it crazy. I'm gonna pay for the sex changes of prisoners and stuff like that. It's like, you guys have gone off the cliff. The more crazy you go, the more people you push into Trump's side.
Have you heard some of the leftist commentators that are like, guys, we weren't mean enough. We have to be meaner.
Yes, and wait, hang on. For the record, I am all for it.
Yep, I agree.
Push yourself right over that left edge. You were not bad enough. You weren't crazy enough. You weren't unhinged enough. You weren't batshit enough. Yeah. I want you to get more. Yes. I want you to take, I
want them all to shave their heads. Go
exactly. I want you
to... Chad, check the...
Please, for the love of God, I want you to make Leah Thomas look like vanilla ice cream the next time around. I want all of this from the left. Please.
I've been trying to figure out how to say this on Twitter or X for the last few days. And I'll say it here. I'm like, the re-election of Trump is the greatest thing for eradicating abortion that we have ever seen, because all of these women went on sex strikes, which means that
No.
The abortion industry came out.
You're looking at this wrong way. It's not eradicating abortion. He is saving millions of babies, because all these liberal women who would have aborted them aren't going to get pregnant in the first place because they're
I know.
This is like 4 years.
We're doing the same thing, Mike. Stop doing that.
No.
But I'm just saying.
Hold on. There's more. So if they maintain this, through the Vance presidency as well. That'll be 15 years of no liberal babies being born. We got to get out there and make more babies during that time, because then the next generation will be absolutely unbeatable.
Yes, I agree.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Wait, let me say this, because
Hey,
I haven't.
gentlemen, I'll let you say it, but first, we have another guest coming in. Doug to Naple, man. How are you, dude?
Oh, it's magic.
You know.
Dougie Dougie's in the house. What's up,
These
Doug?
are the good times.
Oh, man.
It is.
Feeling good. Now, LitDev disconnected. I think his internet might have dropped out, so I hope he'll return with us. But, Doug, you feeling good, mate?
Yeah.
I'm going to be 100% honest. You're getting some
Bryce,
big names.
Bryce.
I don't.
Shut up! You just cut off Doug! You just cut him off!
Because I think I would rather watch this live stream and enjoy you guys talking than me being here.
No, it's
So
about
I
being
might drop
together.
out just to watch you guys talk and go up in my garage and enjoy the show.
It's about being together with the Patriots.
Dude,
yeah.
I kind of like, I'm just like, I want to watch this. I don't want to be here. I was just want to watch.
No, we love you, Royce.
Gaston said, "Get Nurkish, Doug."
Sorry, Doug.
Oh,
what were you-
I could get Nurky. You want me to send him the
Get
link?
Nurkish, dude. This would be awesome.
The reason why I came on and Mike invited me, but I really like, we're always so doom and gloom and we work so hard and push that I like the idea of just kind of stopping and gloating a little bit, a little bit of celebration, because I really haven't spent enough time thanking God, thanking the Patriots, kind of resting in it. And I don't want to move on from here quickly, but the honeymoon phase will end probably before the inauguration, and it's going to be war again, But
Yeah, because we're going to have the.
now I just want to rest with the
January
Patriots
6th.
and be happy together.
That's right. And we were just laughing at how crazy the Dems have gone, which is just pushing more people away from them. And they're shaving their heads. And Valiant Renegade, you're going to say something about what they are doing.
Yeah, no, I was going to say that, I was saving this one for my Wednesday live show, but to hell with it, I'll drop it here. This is the Valiant Renegade official prediction, and I'm pretty sure that I'm going to wind up being right. Ladies and gentlemen, and especially to all the ladies out there on the left side of the aisle, with all of your bloviations, let me explain to you mathematically, with experience, how this is going to go down. Your 4B movement that you're engaging in currently will go down in history as one of the greatest winners of the Darwin Awards of all time. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. It's there you go.
I fully embrace the 4B movement, ladies.
Yeah, it is.
Genuinely.
Go with God.
Like,
Or go
crazy,
without God, as it
unhinged
were.
women promising to not procreate. It's like, I'm not seeing a downside
Yeah,
here.
I'm like, what? Okay, we support you on this. We actually, for the first time in the election 2024 season, we agree.
They
Yeah, there was a
thought that
chick
was a
getting her
winning
freaking
strategy.
suicide. I was like,
Yeah.
that's not easy to undo, lady.
As a man who has been together with the same woman for 25 years, married for 20 of them, 3 children, a sophomore, a 19-year-old daughter in college, a 17-year-old daughter in high school, a 13-year-old renegade junior, who, of course, my audience know very well. He's always showing up on my streams. Look, by all means, please, if you are choosing to voluntarily remove your genetic lineage from the future zeitgeist of America, we aren't going to fight you on it. If you want to put on the red costume and go Handmaid's Tale and sell that down the line, I tell you what, you want to do a march here in New Orleans, Louisiana, Mardi Gras town where I'm at, you go right ahead and do it. I will come down there. I will bring out the big guns. I will celebrate. I will shoot off fireworks as you march down the street, because myself, my wife, my children, we will all happily stand on the side and laugh our asses off at you.
If
I might
you
even,
do,
might even be willing
if-
to let the government subsidize their tubes getting tied.
if you do go to one of these rallies and these women are just like, we're not gonna have sex anymore, I need you to hold up a sign that just says thank you for choosing abstinence.
Yes.
Just it has to be thank you for choosing abstinence, because that will wreck their brains so hard.
Do you guys remember
It's amazing. It's amazing these women have suddenly found an alternative to abortion.
Well, and the definition.
When Roe versus Wade was overturned, you had this movement of women saying, fine, well, we're not going to have children with men unless they agree to freaking marry us. I'm like,
no offense, but I can't divine a lot. I can't divine a lot of how well a woman performs in bed, but I will say no one wants to go to bed with a stingy woman. And so any woman who's like advertising, I'm not giving anything, she's doing everyone a favor anyways. It's like, look,
they
no offense, but you probably no one's missing out on much, especially your husband. He dodged a bullet. You shrew.
You know, you're not wrong, because I tell you what, after 20 years of marriage, like I said, 25 years with the same woman, 3 kids, somehow on YouTube, in 2024, I'm still an incel. I haven't been able to figure that one out yet.
I know.
I get that.
But, they call me that, and I've got 5 kids. And it's
I know,
like,
Shad.
What
What are we doing wrong? What are we doing wrong, Shad?
I've asked my wife how I can stop being an incel, and she doesn't know the answer.
No. She's like, I'm not sure, but you have a job to do tonight because I'm ready. It's like, that's what I like.
Never mind.
You can call yourself whatever you want on YouTube, but Mama needs some. I mean, like what?
Yeah, one of the girls said she was feeling dry. She's dry for a long time. Like, can you imagine like coming home going, honey, I'm ready. Did you make some dinner for me? And the answer is always like, I'm feeling pretty dry tonight. It means you're going to get a really bad dinner.
But you know why?
Drier than that meatloaf.
She's feeling dry because she only dates liberal men.
On top of this, right? This is the quality of women that's being, presented on the left and right, and it's like, I'm sorry, women on the right are just way better looking. And this is the same person. Even a good-looking woman becomes horrendous when they go left. The left turns them into freaking demons. Like, what is going on? It's insane.
I can explain this. You want to know what the difference between the attractive, normally functional girl that's on the left side of the screen and how she becomes the one on the right? I got 2 words for you.
College?
Harry Sisson. The little dude here in America that loves to stump for the left. Y'all didn't get that joke. I'm sorry. That one whipped. Yeah.
Nope. That was
Y'all can look up Harry Sisson.
That's some Gen Z shit. What are you talking about? Right
yes.
I'm
no.
I'm not Gen Z. I'm a millennial.
This guy got paid. I mean, probably millions, literally millions of dollars this year by the Kamala Harris campaign and the DNC. He's one of these social media influencers here in America.
But he's not the one converting these beautiful young women.
He's part of it. He's part of the problem. He's part of the problem. No, he really is. It's like it's
collective woke.
No, but it is the mentality. It's the social Darwin social Marxist mentality of being anti-hierarchy. Even if beauty is what you're better at than other people, they have to tear that down themselves.
They come after video games like
better looking than anybody else.
Yeah.
And an anti-patriarchy too, because they're told that if a girl on the left, the ones that are pretty, they obviously care what a man thinks.
Yes.
And the girl on the right, their whole message is, I don't care what a man thinks.
Right.
And so it's a deliberate deliberate submission. It's an admittance that you would need someone, that you hope to fulfill someone and they will fulfill you, and that you're vulnerable and scared of going through life alone. So you're going to put out your best works to change that, to open up your choices. And then the one on the right is saying, I'm ready to go alone. I don't care. I am not going to concede that ground. And often I believe it's tied to God too. Is like, they're like, I hate my father. I hate all men that I date.
That's a big
because
part
I hate my father. Because I hate my father God. I will not submit to him.
Yeah.
It's kind of the feminist Marxist problem.
It makes them miserable and unhappy. Like even just these images here shows like, you know, which one, and I know it's anecdotal and they probably selectively picked a thing, but it's a general truth that so many woke, insane women, they're always unhappy, complaining, screaming about stuff. It makes them miserable, yet they think they're liberated in their misery. And it's like, one of the funniest things was that they didn't think they were doing this in that stupid Barbie movie, where the purpose of Barbie, the way that they, you know, liberated the happy women from the evil patriarchy was to give them feminism, which made them unhappy and miserable. And it's like, it was an unintentional mask off moment where they reported on themselves that this crap makes them miserable. They're going to die alone and miserable. Shock horror. The reality for the vast majority of women, okay, is that having children and having a family is going to be the most primary path for happiness and fulfillment in their lives. Yep. But the left has fed them a lie that no girl, you don't need no man, go alone. You're a girl boss, all power to yourself, and they end up alone.
Well, that's
my
it,
wife
Shad.
Today, funny enough that you say that, my wife today unironically told me, she goes, I think more women would be happy if they gave in to being submissive women to their husbands, because she's like, and I'm not talking, and she was like, and she clarified, she's like, I'm not talking about going back to like the 1950s where it was okay to beat your wives and stuff like that. She's like, no, but for a woman to submit to her husband, she goes, because there's just something so much more fulfilling about that life. And my wife, when I met my wife, she was an Obama liberal. And I was the good Catholic conservative. Now she's made me less good and I've made her more better, but we won't get into that. But again, it's an interesting take that it's interesting how all this conversation ties together. And I'm seeing not just the radical change in my wife over the last 14 years and all of that. And I mean, she still has her tattoos and her piercings and all of that. I have a type, but, but you know, but to see just how she has changed and to see how other women who she has talked to about this stuff and how she's been able to articulate it to them and how they've changed as well. I can't believe some of her girlfriends that she has who voted for Trump this time around, because I was like, whoa, like people, I never would have thought. And not only that, they voted, they're out there, they're voting for Trump. They are now turning around to spirituality, Christianity, believing in God again, you know, being more in touch with their families. But again, something is happening at a level that I don't think all of us realize, because we may all be too plugged in, but it is happening and it is deep and it is in all of us. And I'm hopeful that this continues.
I mean, sorry, yeah, go, Valiant.
Well, I was just going to say, no, he's absolutely right. And I can tell you from the perspective here in America, I can explain to you very easily what's going on. And there's two parts to this. Number one, to what you just said, Drink, you know, about your wife and how she's changed and how things have happened. I always hearken back. There was a very famous comedian here in the U.S., and his heyday was in the 70s and into the 80s. His name was Jonathan Winters. And he had a routine that he did with stand-up. And he was kind of ahead of his time, because he would go into politics with it. And you got to imagine, this is in the 70s when he was doing his routine. Yeah, Jonathan Winters.
Because again, one of the oldest ones that, like Richard Pryor, like I know guys like Richard Pryor and, you know, early Eddie Murphy.
Slightly older than that.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's as far back as I go. But even those guys weren't political.
No, but he did it because he had a routine, and he didn't get political per se, but it was a great rift that I think stuck with people over the years because he said, Mrs. Winters is always how he referred to her. Mrs. Winters, she's got a good life. She enjoys herself. And she started hearing about all this new feminism stuff and women's liberation and how women can have their own jobs and their own careers. And you got to remember, again, this was in the 70s in America. And the short version is this. He gets to the end of the shtick here with the comedy routine, and he goes, what happened is that Mrs. Winters figured out every year she gets a new Cadillac. She has a maid come in and take care of the house every week so she doesn't have to do anything. Mrs. Winters gets to relax and enjoy her life. And Mrs. Winters finally figured out that she doesn't care much for the feminists because she doesn't want the feminists messing with the deal that Mrs. Winters has got right now. So no, this is like, you can go look this up. It's probably still out there on YouTube and elsewhere. This was a Jonathan Winters comedy bit that he did with his stand-up routine. But, going on through the years, we've seen more of this change because we've seen more of these girls that are going on places like TikTok and everything else. And we've all seen, some of the most stereotypical ones where they're like, you know what? I'd rather just have a man go out and I don't want to have to do all this. So a lot of us want to just raise kids. My wife was one of the women that just wanted to be a mom and have kids. And I'm like, and I provide enough for my family, and my wife doesn't have to work. She chooses to work because she loves what she does. She's a music teacher.
My wife chooses not to work.
Well,
yeah, my wife too.
My
so
wife
I have a
loves
question
working because she's a music teacher and she loves working with kids. She loves teaching voice. She loves teaching piano guitar. This is an enjoyment for her. But the thing is that my wife, if she wanted to quit tomorrow and not do this ever again, it would have virtually no impact on the family because I take care of things. I mean, but this is where America used to be. And I think there's a resurgence of this because of this out there that it's like, no, it's okay for the man to still be the man in the relationship. Like, it's vital. Look, if some women want to work, I would never tell my wife you're forbidden from working, right? If she wants to do it, she's free to do it. But still, as the guy, I'm an old school dude that no.
There's another point, Valiant. If the man isn't the man in the relationship, then the kids don't understand what their role is as their gender.
You're right.
That's how a lot of these kids get
confused. Don't say gender. We'll get demonetized. And that's it. Copyright community strike. We're done.
Yeah, did you say the word?
Hey, Doug, you had a question you wanted to ask?
Well, I know what they're saying.
Yeah, I have a question that has to do with the title just for a minute because I think we're all happy, right? And we would be much sadder if Kamala won than if Trump did. And I swore after 2016, I will not be shocked by another election, but I was shocked at the size, of what came for Trump, just how badly Kamala got destroyed and how well Trump did. And my first thought was, and I think I hear it in our voice as we're talking about traditional roles or free speech globally around the world, where I think the MAGA and the conservatives around the world were starting to think, I think the woke virus has spread a lot farther than we thought it did. I think it's being embraced a lot farther than we thought it did. And if Kamala won the election, we'd all be saying how far it went. And instead now everyone's talking about how flaccid it is, how humiliating that trans message was, how the Trump was able to, blow that out. And as I think of the global free speech, which I believe is a legit war going on now, the global thing is going, look, America's just one little business segment that believes in free speech. We're going to use the entire world market to press against that, right?
Yeah.
But one of the big things that surprised me is over the last 3-4 years since the yellow vest movement in Europe is I just always thought the rest of the world went to hell and was all woke. And then I start seeing these little fighters show up
Melee,
in Europe,
Argentina.
Charlie Hebdo, punk rockers,
Mm-hmm.
free speechers, the truckers rally in Canada, the farmers up in Norway. So are we all doing the gloom and doom? I know the woke virus is awful, but could we be exaggerating in our own mind, just like in this last election, thinking it's gotten a lot farther around the world than it really has?
Well, from my perspective, I think, nearly anyone adopting this insanity is already going too far. And the fact that it is being picked up in other parts of the world is an issue. But having said that, most people are normal people and are not insane, and they're not online. They don't get caught up in the craziness, and there is positives and negatives to that. The positive is that they're not crazy, and when they are, told it, they reject it. It's like, what the hell do you mean that, men are competing in women's sports? That's insane. Okay. But the other side to that is that a lot of them also are uninformed and become complacent, and they are not able to push back when they need to be pushed back. And I see that a lot in Australia. I was actually talking about the problems with Australia's laid back, she'll be right attitude. And I think that is reflected in other parts. So, it kind of depends from my perspective, because it is this pernicious thing that as soon as it gets its claws in, it will spread, and it spreads through disingenuous means by going for the institutions of power, censoring large platforms. And they've been a minority from the beginning. Let's be clear about that.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a vocal minority of unhinged people that have just gone nuts with this communistic, belief system. Right.
I saw that Australian lady. I don't know who the politician was, but she was screaming at some point, talking about protecting people from the COVID thing or whatever. I was just like going, man, they've got someone much worse than us over there.
That's why they targeted education and the media.
Yes, exactly. And the other thing apart from the media is education.
Veneer that we all believe this. Every normal person believes this insanity. Mm-hmm. And then when you're a normal person and you don't believe it, you're the abnormal one, right? And that's their whole tactic.
That's the gaslighting. And look, education has been long, and I mean very, very long targeted here in America. It goes back to the 60s. Yeah, the 50s, the 60s, the 70s is when it would really got ingrained. And nothing has changed. But what's happening now is the pushback, right? So in terms of how did the shift happen from 2020 to now? Well, there's a lot of people out there this week kind of waking up, especially based on that chart you had up earlier, realizing that, maybe 2020 wasn't that left shift that was made out to be, because where did the voters go? Like you were saying earlier, that's a question that still has not been answered. It's a legitimate question because that's a lot of voters that just disappeared off the map. And a lot of people are questioning, were they ever really there to begin with? And I think it's a fair question to ask. But the point is that the 2024 election map, everybody was showing, especially election night and the next day, the arrows, right? The shift right. And it was a major, and we had Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen on 2 or 3 times in the last week. Mark Mitchell from Rasmussen has been proven now, beyond the shadow of a doubt, mathematically proven. He was by far and away the most accurate pollster of this election cycle. Rasmussen was kicked out. They were ejected. They were blacklisted by the left-wing mainstream legacy media for years because they were considered to be
accurate.
They were considered to be a political alt-right adjunct, right? They were considered to be part of the Trumpanista. They were considered MAGA. The problem is whether you considered their politics right or left at the end of the day didn't matter. From a mathematical perspective, it's a question of, were they right? And the answer is yes, is because Rasmussen, since the summer this year in America, was polling Trump +2, +3, +1 the whole ride through. Guess what? Trump won the national popular vote by nearly 3 points. Rasmussen was dead on balls. Mark Mitchell was dead on balls, right?
Yeah, but none of them want accuracy. They want propaganda. They want to suppress the vote on the right by making people think they don't have a chance.
It's more nefarious than that. I talked about this on the show last night on my Sunday show. It's more nefarious than that because there is a huge political marketing machine in America. And I've seen it affect Republican and Democrat candidacies alike, whether it's, gubernatorial campaigns, Senate, national or local, Congress, whatever the case is. There's a huge political machine out there, right? And it's this collective, this closed group of campaign advisors and managers out there that are frankly little more than charlatans. They're snake oil salesmen. And their whole goal in life, by and large, in many cases, is to con your donors out of their money, right? And we've proven this week. Everybody, even Democratic campaign massive finance bundlers are out there. They're going on Fox News. Democrat campaign bundlers are going on Fox News to complain. In other words, to save their own ass because they have to, because their donors are like, bitch, you told us that Kamala could win. Mm-hmm. And we gave you $100 million to put into her PACs, her political action committees, and all this. And she got her ass clowned. She got clowned.
I know.
Right?
I was laughing at her. I'm going, wait, you believed a politician and a Democrat one at that?
Well, that's just
you
it. It's like,
lose a lot more than that money.
They were lied to. This is the scam. Yeah. And I did this on my show yesterday, Shad. I'm like, look, let me put this in perspective for my audience and maybe even for your audience.
Yeah.
There's no difference with what just happened with Kamala Harris's campaign and the gaslighting of her investors. $1 billion pissed away. There is no difference there between what the Walt Disney Company does with Star Wars and Marvel right now with their own shareholders.
Yes.
It is the same shit. It's the same shit.
Mm-hmm. The bullcrap they spin to fudge the numbers to try and show, Disney Plus is profitable. Yeah, it's doing well. It's absolute bullcrap.
It's nonsense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Kamala Harris's campaign did the same thing.
I saw Rasmussen's polls. I don't know if it was the week before, but I follow those polls every day. And at one point, they had Kamala Harris 3 points up, or it might have been 2 points up. I might be being too mean on them. They straightened out by the end.
They had one poll, Rasmussen, in a national poll, because everything jittered. Like back in July when Joe Biden got out, they had one poll that showed Kamala Harris up. But the 20 polls or whatever it was, like almost, I think it was like 15 or 20 polls since then.
But I'm talking, it was close to election day because I was checking them every day.
No, Rasmussen never had Kamala Harris up.
I'll look it up.
Somebody pull it up.
Yeah.
Anyways, my point is, you had that one outlier in Iowa, and I just think
Ann Seltzer.
Yeah, I just think, and I saw lots of interviews with her. I just think polling is something that is very hard to do, where you can even get within 3%. Now, if you choose to be bad at it, you're going to be a lot worse at it. But I think even the best, and I don't think these people are entirely the best. I think Rasmussen's the best, but I'm just saying, even if he tries his best, no one predicted what Trump did. 100% of the pollsters came short. All of them were wrong. They did not. You cannot go out and poll that kind of what happened. And that's why it was a surprise to everyone. Mm-hmm. I don't see it. I follow Trafalgar the last 3 elections. They may get within a point or whatever. It does not tell the story of what happened. I don't know if you can poll that. I also don't know if you can poll.
Well, it's not
enough gaslighting.
They can only go by the math, right?
The election to think that it would even be on the same planet. Because now
Trafalgar, Atlas, Rasmussen have been, for the last now 3 election cycles, have, I think, been the most consistent. And Rasmussen, in terms of the national popular vote poll, absolutely, unequivocally, dead on. Dead freaking on. About as close as you can possibly get. And they've been consistent since the summer.
Let me look it up.
And no, I'm only saying this, Doug, because I'm not trying to argue with you. I mean, I get it.
I just looked at it and it was an outlier, and I go, what the hell?
No. Mark Mitchell, who was the chief pollster for Rasmussen, has been on my show now about 4 times in the last week and a half.
Yeah.
So I've been having a lot of extensive conversations with Mark, because Mark got thrown to the wolves, right? The Walt Disney Company. Disney Company bought 538. They bought Nate Silver back in 2016 or 2018, I think it was. I think 2018. The Walt Disney Company and ABC bought them out. And everybody now uses, because for years, 538, blah, blah, blah. They're not a pollster. They're a data aggregator. They're not actually a poll originator. They grab everybody else's polling data and then aggregate it with their own formula. Disney bought out Nate Silver in 538. Guess what happened not long after Disney bought them out? They threw Mark Mitchell and Rasmussen the frick out because they called them right-wing zealots, right-wing pundits. Right. They didn't know what they were doing, except for the fact, of course, that Mark Mitchell and Rasmussen keep getting proven dead on balls over and over and over and over again. But they hate that because, Disney's stupid. But,
you see those people that bet obscene amounts of money on Kamala's victory and lost so much. Like that stupid streamer KFC or whatever his name is. He lost nearly 700,000 on betting. That was a lot.
Yeah,
that was a lot, and it's because he took Destiny's advice.
My favorite one was
we spent $10 million to get Beyonce to walk on stage for 2 minutes and go, "Hi, here's Kamala."
Yeah, let me make a point about the PolitiFact, it's PolitiFact, right? The polling, whatever the polling thing or the betting thing was.
Polymarket.
Polymarket. People were actually using that like a trading bot or a trading platform. Like they didn't care who was winning. They're just like, oh man, the odds are so good on Kamala.
Yes,
now I'm going to buy.
Some of them were hedging.
Sell. Yeah.
There was hedging there. I can tell you 20 years in the financial industry, as we reached that final week, there were definitely people throwing in hedges.
It didn't close out at the end, right? You could pull your money out anytime you want. So you could ride the wave.
You can still do it now because technically the payout doesn't happen until the inaugural. I think I don't think the payout actually happens until Jan 6th when it's certified or Jan 20th at the inauguration. I don't remember.
That's my favorite part, though, is because Kamala Harris is going to have to be the one that certifies the election on January 6th. It's going to be awesome.
There's going to be so many cameras up her ass for that one.
So
you get that smile ready to go. She better do it in a handmaiden's uniform, too.
All right. Yeah. To segue a little bit to one of the main topics we want to talk about now, Drink Royce, he had to bounce, but he is in the chat hanging out with everyone. So this drop from Trump.
This is my favorite part already. This is great.
I know.
It's me directly.
We've already referenced this a number of times. Let's listen to it now because I think this is one of the greatest things ever. This is what has been needed for so long. And Trump just comes in and drops like a friggin' nuke. And this is going to impact everything. This is so good.
If we don't have free speech, then we just don't.
Oh, let me might be too loud, but let's keep going.
Don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because
you know why I'm saying reclaim, because it has been just made a mockery of for years. Right. Gentlemen, you several of you have been banned and censored.
Doug, how many times and how many subs have you lost because of this?
Yeah, I've lost millions now, millions of dollars too. But I think I'm on my 8th or 9th channel.
Yeah, your first one was at what? 480,000?
Yeah, 480. My second one did 550. I've had two 100s go down. I've got two 50,000s up right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hiding in plain sight.
Yeah. People always try and bring up the my private business bullcrap. It's like, I'm sorry, when your private business becomes the town square and it's how people are able to actually get their voice out and communicate. All right. That alone is a very important thing to consider about.
You can't put your finger on
I just don't play a victim. They can do it. You do your best, you know, or I should say you do your worst and I'll do my best. So you can keep knocking them down and I'll see you guys. I'll see you later.
Yeah. Keep going.
I'm not
that's one of the, that's
you're not going to throw me in jail. I'm not in trouble yet. You know, not a biggie.
It's one of the encouraging things that the truth, like, unless it goes full authoritarian, the truth often will find a way. So this is great. I like free up the town squares. And so that's going to be a first thing. Now, the next part was also, and Trump talks about this, is that Section 230 protections. Is that is very significant because a lot of these platforms, as soon as they start banning content, that is editorializing. And if you are editorializing, you should then be liable for what is on your platform.
Section 230 is a protection that allowed the internet to grow, you know, when it was young. And so they said, you're not going to punish you for what you put on your site. And then now
specifically what users put on the site.
What users put on your site, you can't be held liable. Mm-hmm. And so then they started censoring people and they couldn't be held liable. Well, now, even if they breach their own terms of service, you know, so if they can go back and revisit that Section 230, which he's talking about, and again, all these things are double-edged swords. They're not a clean, happy times, you know, but something like Section 230, it should not be there. So I hope they revisit it pretty deep.
Yeah, Trump, he mentions that specifically.
What's her face? Hillary Clinton, like, there's a video clip I shared yesterday. She was so specific. She's like, if we allow these social media companies to just put whatever they want, we'll lose control. She like just blurted it out. It's like exactly.
And this is the thing. If you have truth on your side, you should not be afraid of people being able to speak. The only people that want to censor are the ones that are lying and feel like that their lies will get exposed. They're the ones that want to shut down people talking. And so this is going to affect the globe for a big reason. Most of these large social media companies, they're US companies. All right. That is very important. True. I'm in Australia using US platforms. I use X, YouTube, Facebook. Those are all US. All right. Amen. And so the bullcrap thing that's going on in Australia, and this is how pernicious this misinformation, disinformation bill that our retarded prime minister is trying to push, Anthony Albanese, right? It's not just an attempt to try and censor these platforms in Australia. The purpose of the bill is to force social media companies to create a misinformation code that needs to apply on their platforms globally. That needs to be applied fully. That's how friggin' retarded it is. Now, what leverage does the Australian government have to force these other companies to do it? The only leverage they have is operating within Australia. And so if they want to operate in Australia, the government is saying, you have to abide by these rules. Otherwise, we'll fine you out of the wazoo. And if you don't get fined, you're going to get banned in Australia.
You know, I'm telling you, Shad, I think we should have just let Japan take Australia.
Australia has good parts. This is just one of the annoying parts. The thing is, though, if that happens, I don't expect X to bow down, but other ones might. Facebook, Instagram, okay.
I don't think Facebook would either. I think he's going to follow in Elon.
Bro, I'm hoping so because
it's
my
entire 16-year-old Facebook channel because I posted a no U-turn symbol as my profile picture.
Wow.
Well, I think it's going to get better because of Trump. I think Zuckerberg is starting is not flipping around, but is seeing where the winds are blowing. And that's important because this is another example of how Trump is actually affecting how things are going to be done in other
well,
countries.
by the way, even this isn't Trump. This is Elon Musk. It's Trump who's doing this great ad, and I was happy to see him articulate it.
Yes.
This is the most Trump's ever talked about free speech.
Yeah, this is a good point.
He's not a big Constitution First Amendment guy, guys. He is now.
He's listening to the right people. And he has the right people.
He is.
Yeah.
And it's Elon Musk specifically who's going like, look, I'm going to lose all my businesses. I'm not going to get to go to Mars. I'm going to go to prison for X. I have so many lawsuits against Starlink, Neuralink, every single government entity's after me, that he might as well put all of his money into the Trump campaign, because that was his only hope to ever get to Mars and do business. He was going to go to jail if he lost.
They were after him. Won't even let him shoot rockets into the sky anymore.
I get the Australian government took him to court. Well, they tried to get his posts on X taken down, and Elon wouldn't, and they had to be taken to court. And instead, now they've pivoted in another direction. What's really important about what Trump is doing here is that these fines that the Australian government is going to try and impose, if it passes this bill, on social media platforms to try and institute censorship, misinformation policies to affect their user base globally, right? That might be illegally, disallowed legally. It might that action that the Australian government is trying to force through might now be illegal based on the policies Trump is proposing here, which means they're not going to be able to play ball. Screw you, Australian Prime Minister.
Right.
The law in America says you can't do what they're trying to get you to do. Which is,
and Shad, all he's doing is the same thing that they've been doing. What they've been doing is saying, we're not just going after. X is over there in America doing its thing, but we're saying that we want to allow businesses to do business with them, say in Brazil or in Australia or in Europe, if they don't embrace our censorship. And we saw a lot of companies buckle to China. Remember?
Yeah.
With Microsoft, and they all said yes, sir. And Disney with the movie posters and stuff. And all Trump is doing now is he's doing the opposite, because they're trying to pressure X in order to operate in their company to make them change their code around the world, right? Similar to what happened in California, where they banned food coloring in cereals. Well, like Nabisco, or if you're making Snickers or if you're making Fruit Loops, you can't try to make business work and not have it work in California. So California uses its leverage and its size to force every other state, is going to have to adopt these things.
Exactly.
So Trump is going in now and he's going, our government won't do business with a company that practices censorship. That could allow them to cancel every contract with Australia, Australian tractor companies, Europe, food producers. They can just go in and pick and go, we just choose not to do business with you anymore. So it's great he's doing a little more of that kind of pressure back.
Oh, it's brilliant. We're going to, JD Vance made a comment about what the Trump administration, how they might treat other countries if they don't support free speech. And I was like, friggin' yes. Hopefully we'll have time to show that as well.
And that will expand the free speech to other countries if we stick to it.
That's literally why, the title of this thing is that, could Trump save global free speech? Because if he leads the charge and says, this is the standard of America, and if you other countries try and censor our social media platforms or do things that we disapprove of on a principle level, we might not do business with you. And I'm like, friggin' A, man, that is exactly what needs to happen. And
I'm telling you, I think Zuckerberg is coming around. I think he's embarrassed at how totalitarian he was over the Facebook stuff. And you'll also see hints of Bezos with the Washington Post not endorsing Kamala, that he's also going, look, at some point this has to operate as a business, and all this woke stuff is not working. I think he might get a couple of companies. If he gets Amazon on board and he gets X, and Elon Musk, I just don't know if YouTube, our homeland, will ever come around, but
we can hope. We can hope.
To your point, Shad, with this whole thing, I mean, this video you're playing right now and the other ones that came from this series, to show you how bad the suppression has been with media, These videos are 2 years old.
Wait, this one is?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I thought it was
I
new.
I thought this was recent.
No, that's.
I know
point.
another one was older.
Well-
When he was announcing the fair to celebrate America's thingo, but I knew that one was. I thought this one was a new one.
My understanding is that this entire series, I could be mistaken, but I mean, a lot of these videos are being pulled up now because these were all shot in 22 during the midterms 2 years ago.
No kidding. I did not know that. I presented on my channel like it was new. So there.
That's just it. They're being presented as new now, not by a deliberate deception or anything of that nature, but because Donald Trump was removed from social media after 2020. Right. These videos were suppressed, like his YouTube channel was shut down, his Facebook, his X under Jack Dorsey, formerly Twitter, now X, was shut down previously before Elon Musk. A lot of what people are putting out there today with these videos, these were shot 2 years ago. All of the stuff he's talking about is things that he's been talking about. Now, I'm not going to say that I can't say for every single video. I know there's new stuff out there, but all the ones I've seen like this in this past 4 or 5 days, these are all the ones you can go to his webpage. I think it's donaldjtrump.com. You'll see the timestamps. These were all loaded up in late October, November 22.
I did not. So I did know that. I did not know that.
Like if
it
I
goes
saw
to
this
show you social media suppression.
I know, like it's insane. Like this is such an important, policy stance that he's proposing that every freaking person should know about before going into the election, and it's only coming out now. And are you kidding me? Because listen to when he gets into the policy stuff, it's just brilliant, right?
Because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately.
And we've all seen examples of that, especially with the election suppression and also everything about the lockdowns and COVID stuff. So many posts were being taken down in Australia. People were getting arrested for social media posts.
And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech.
Oh, that's so good. Because the FBI was contacting Facebook to get stuff taken down and is like, nah, that's not happening at all. And what I love there is specifically to protect lawful speech. That's such an important thing. Okay. Yeah. Because so many people have based their censorship on people being offended, right? Oh, that was something that we consider to be a slur. No. Protect what is allowed in the law. That should be the standard right there. And that's all you need.
I just found some stuff on that video from 2 years ago. It was on the AMAC, Association of Mature American Citizens, AMAC. And it has some of the text from that video in an article. So for sure that if that text existed back then it was probably originally pulled from that video from 2022.
Yeah,
which
I'm
surprised
seeing
me.
some here. Agenda 47, December of 23. Ending veteran homelessness. No welfare for illegal aliens. The American Academy. I mean, all these things, if you look back, it's on his website. Agenda 40 setting, cementing fair reciprocal trade with the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act.
Yeah.
All these things were almost 2 years ago now.
Wow, I had no idea. Thanks for telling me, because Valiant, I thought this whole suite was rolled out to announce what he's going to do with the new administration. I mean, it might still be that, but I'm just going.
It is still that. That's just it. He was,
It was
putting
released
this
by RFK 2 days ago. Put him out.
Well, I think there's more. I mean, they may have recut some of these videos, and I'm not saying that all of them are that dated, but I have seen several this week with the same backdrop, with the two American flags in the same room. Yeah, I'm looking at them now. In fact, here I'm gonna copy and paste the link into the private chat so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. Is that a lot of these things were from 2 years ago, and again, they're still just as valid today because people are now discovering them in many cases for the first time. But it goes to show the level of suppression that has been
he's got no reach.
Yeah, I can't believe, because this is such significant policy statements he's making.
Same suit, same backdrop. This is it. This is from January of 23. Some of these go back to November and October of 22.
Holy crap.
Wow. And there's Agenda 47 addressing rise of chronic childhood illnesses.
Yeah.
That's RFK stuff from 2 years ago that he's doing.
Google and big tech buried this. And the only reason it's coming out now is because of Elon Musk and X.
Friggin' X-Man. Saving the world. Maybe I've been going too far, but that you're not a game changer.
Speech is everything, and he put an anchor down. He put it down and held that line because that could have been the end. We never would have found any of this stuff.
I can't believe it. And you know why, like YouTube, Facebook, and all the other places would want this stuff specifically suppressed, because they know they're going to have to play ball. Like, it's going to affect their platforms, and they are not going to be able to censor the way that they've been doing for years. And so they would have wanted to have suppressed this and buried it.
Yeah, I actually think that most people who are for censorship are against it when they're out of power. When they're out of power, like the Democrats are now, they tend to be for free speech, because the little guy that doesn't control all the levers and platforms of society, they need it to be able to get their little voice out. Mm-hmm. So I think they're a little warmer to it now. But if Kamala Harris won, that would have been it.
Yeah.
The one you're playing now, I'm looking at it. President Donald J. Trump, Free Speech Policy Initiative, December 15th, 2022.
Yep.
I can't believe that.
Evil always demands tolerance until they're in power.
But there's no suppression by big tech, y'all.
I mean, I would have been sharing this and doing videos on it if I saw this 2 years ago.
I'm gonna put the link for this particular one here. It's in backstage. There you go.
Yeah, I think I've got this video coming out tomorrow on my channel. This is because free speech is my thing.
Yeah.
To me, it is.
There it is. December 15th, 2022.
Wow, look at that. I did not know that. Thanks for that, Valiant. That's cool.
That's how bad it is right now in America with big tech.
Oh,
with that, did you have something to say?
Well, I just said that the old adage of evil always demands tolerance until it becomes powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it shows no mercy.
Yeah.
All I want is to be tolerated.
Because what he says here is so base. We'll keep going.
Yeah.
Citizens. I will then ban federal money.
Sorry, Doug?
No, go ahead.
Money from being used to label domestic speech as mis or disinformation.
Oh, sorry. That's exactly what the Australian government is doing.
Yeah.
Literally.
I saw that.
A bill called the Disinformation Bill. And Trump is like the polar opposite of that. It's like banning any government organization from being able to label.
And who is that bearded dude in that hearing where he goes like, well, who's going to decide?
Yes. I've got that
going
video.
Like, we don't want a platform, an evil business with no accountability to decide what's misinformation. We want our government and parliament to do it. And going, well, that's kind of scary too.
He said that's like trying to stop bushfires by giving the power to the arsonists.
Yeah, exactly. I love that quote. It was so good.
And people wonder why in America that the Democrats here, the left wing, is trying so hard, piece by piece, to ban private firearm ownership.
Yeah.
They want you to be slaves.
Yep. They want the people to be compliant, obedient thralls that don't have the power to oppose them. And
that's the key thing, is they don't have the power to fight back, and that is one of the tenets of the ratification of the Constitution here in America in 1789.
They don't like being discomforted with ideas they don't agree with, and to me, I mean, I don't like it either. No one does. But the way that you prevent violence, the way that you keep mankind from eating each other and killing each other, is you give him a voice and let him defend himself through speech. You take away his speech, and then your only alternative is violence.
Yeah.
But when I see people argue in America and everyone goes like, "Oh, it's so divisive and so negative," I go, "Yeah, ain't it great? Praise God. We're not killing each other, over it. You should be happy to be arguing." And so all these giant global forces and platforms trying to shut down the free open debate of even one guy allowed to be just wrong and just dumb.
Yep.
Well, Doug, there's an old expression here, especially in the South. I'm from New Orleans, and it goes like this: an armed society is a civil society.
Yep.
And it really is, because you know what? If you want to, you're going to think twice about running out in the street and burning buildings and acting like a moron. If you have the wherewithal to understand that everybody around me has a pistol.
We need a lot more Kyle Rittenhouses around.
Yeah, well, I don't want people to get hurt. I don't want people to be injured. But the point is that if you have if you walk around on a daily basis thinking that I can be a criminal, I can rob this person, I can kill this person, I can do this, I can violate the rights of other people. If you don't have the natural cognitive stoppage of somebody else might get mad with me violating their rights and try to stop me by use of force, legal force, then you're going to go ahead and do it. And that's why we have, like in America, this epidemic of people just running into to Ann Taylor and looting stores right and left because places like California won't prosecute them. That's the problem. An armed society is a civil society.
I mean, when you take away consequences to people's actions, what are they going to do? They're not going to be held accountable, and so
that's also why the First Amendment is upstream from the Second Amendment. I think the Second Amendment is great. I got an arsenal here in the house. Don't worry.
There is no First Amendment without the Second Amendment.
Well, but I know, but there's no Second Amendment without the First. The Second Amendment is protect. That is, they can redefine.
If you're in Australia, you don't have either.
Exactly. Well, and you talk about Ann Taylor, in LA. LA and California is full of arms, and it's not civil, because if you don't have the pen is mightier than the sword. If the word does not back it up, it can turn even your arms, even your Second Amendment laws completely abstract. As we saw the Democrats try and say, it was only for a standing militia and not for personal use or to overthrow the government or whatever, which is what it was designed for.
The standing militia was to overthrow the government.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's the point. Is the government wanted to pass something tomorrow unconstitutionally to try to take away the First Amendment.
Yeah.
The Second Amendment is duty bound by Constitution to rise up and avenge that.
Yeah, it's the bulwark.
Without the Second Amendment, there is no Constitution. That's the difference, is that everything falls apart without the Second Amendment. That's why it was put in there. So, I mean, that's and a lot of people, unfortunately, today, even quote unquote constitutionally educated scholars in modern, even Ivy League educations, don't seem to understand this. A lot of them will get out of college and think, well, that was so you could hunt deer, right?
Yeah.
No,
it was clearly to overthrow the government. I'm only saying that with a word, if you have an institution, the reason why they go for free speech and they're not going for guns. If they can get free speech, they'll get guns. If they can get free speech, they can get your guns. So
they
go for
can,
speed.
but they would have to be a massive constitutional movement in the country to try to overthrow that.
Well, if
Yeah,
they can get free
yeah.
speech, then they can tailor the message for generations.
They
until
can
they
tailor
decide-
it, but you
No,
still
because-
have nearly
look,
half
that's
a
what-
billion
no, 'cause
privately
Yeah,
owned
they're not
guns
gonna,
in
no,
America.
they're not gonna
no, that's
recover.
what
They're not gonna get a
point.
metal detector and
Hold
get
on,
all
Brian,
that
hold
stuff.
on. You're because you're agreed with me early about because they started this in the 50s. They
Yeah.
started taking over the message, and when you don't have free speech and they control the message,
That's right.
they can convince the next generation that their parents are evil for owning guns.
Oh, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree with that. No,
they
you're
were
right.
convincing people to turn their guns in. You know,
Yeah.
But they
were getting them to turn them in.
still have to enforce it. There's the old
Yeah.
Political adage about great. The court has made a decision in this regard against the executive branch. Now let's see them enforce it.
I know. I'm just saying, it's like you massage that next generation. By the time grandpa, it's like the only person who still wants guns in the house is grandpa. It's over.
And if I can cut off all your water, I can get every gun I want.
Mm-hmm.
So genuinely though, the US Constitution is an inspired document. I say that as an Australian, but also part of my religious belief, by the way. Joseph Smith literally said the US Constitution was inspired, and that means I consider it basically scripture, right? That it was a divide. Like, actually, listen to what Joseph Smith said about the Constitution. He says, hence we say that the Constitution of the United States is a glorious standard. It is founded in the wisdom of God. It is a heavenly banner. It is to all those who are privileged with the sweets of its liberty, like the cooling shades and refreshing waters of a great rock in a thirsty and weary land. It is like a great tree under whose branches men from every clime can be shielded from the burning rays of the sun. So yeah, the Constitution is bloody friggin' important.
But yeah, I don't know if I buy that argument. I have heard Larry Arnn say a similar thing from Hillsdale College. I never knew if I bought it or not, that it was full-blown divine, but there's a lot of guys, a lot of smarter guys than me.
It was a very prayerfully written document.
Well, and they're using natural law and all kinds of other stuff. Guys, I got to jump tonight.
Yeah. But Doug, thanks for coming on, man.
Blessings. Thanks for having me on. And
hey, Doug, we'll figure
this
out
is the victory lap. God bless America. I'm so thankful to have some patriots to smile about it. You guys.
Thanks, mate.
Take care, Doug. No, and he's right. And real quick, and I'm running short on time myself, but I'll say this. You're right, Shad. The document itself, and this is what makes it so unique in history, is that America is a country that was built around one simple and very unique foundational element, and that was that we are a country unlike anyone else that would not be defined by our government. We were defined by the people. We were defined by the freedom. And the reason the document, as many historians have, I think, correctly pointed out as being religiously inspired, was for a reason. You look at the writings of George Washington, of Benjamin Franklin, even back to William Bradford, one of the first governors of the colonies that came over on the Mayflower, with the Puritans from the UK. I mean, William Bradford's first Thanksgiving proclamation. You know, we're about to go into Thanksgiving here in the United States. And I think a lot of Americans have lost sight of what Thanksgiving is. They think it's about, oh, we're thankful to the Native Americans, right? We're thankful to their help. No, that's actually not true. Historically speaking, if you go back and you look at Governor William Bradford's proclamation back in the 16th century or maybe early 17th, I can't remember the exact date. But it was, we are here to give thanks to Almighty God and Jesus Christ for the blessings of liberty and for the blessings of fellowship. Yes, they were thankful to the Native Americans for helping them get through the first very rough winters that killed over half of the population that came over on those ships with Governor Bradford. But the reality is that they were giving thanks to God. When George Washington affirmed the Thanksgiving holiday for America in one of his first public addresses, of course, this was all written down. We didn't have the internet back then, but of course, you know, maybe George Washington tweeted at that day. I might have missed it. But the idea is that this was the day that America should give thanks to Almighty God for the blessings of liberty and the blessings of freedoms. were we going to be successes or failures, it was going to be by our own merits, our own initiative, our own efforts. And this was what was so critical. And that finally, many, many years later, when the Constitution, or the document that would become the Constitution, was being circulated amongst the 13 colonies by people like Alexander Hamilton and John Jay and James Madison, the three men who wrote the Federalist Papers. Also, I think one of the most overlooked foundational documents in American history, because it explains what the Constitution means and what they were trying to build. Those same three men wrote the Constitution. And it was to make sure that the government, the powers that were being signed over to a new federal body by the 13 colonies, they had to convince the colonies that they weren't creating another England over their heads in Washington, D.C., or in Philadelphia at that point, in New York City. They had to tell them, no, we're going to create a document that is going to very expressly and very specifically limit the powers of this government to do the things that collectively we as 13 colonies would be better handing off to a one body than our own. People, things like coining money and building postal roads and building a national army, raising and maintaining a navy. There were very specific things. That's Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution. All of these things were set out there, and that's what made America so, so different. None of that would have happened without the first 10 amendments, the first of which, of course, was the freedom of speech, the freedom of the press, the freedom of to be able to practice religion as you so choose.
That's
because
a big one.
It was because, of course, the Anglican Church in the UK, that was one of the big reasons everybody left, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Freedom of religion was it was like the founding principle.
The Pilgrims got kicked out of England.
Yeah, I mean, we did not want to have the United States Congress declare that, for example, the Catholic Church would be the national religion. No, that's, everybody, hey, a lot of us are Catholics. A lot of us are Lutherans. A lot of us are this or that. We came over from the UK. We came over from other European countries. But no matter what we believe, we do not want to give Congress the power to declare a national religion or create one of their own.
People miss how significant this is. No, people talk about, so much racial discrimination in the past. One of the big, challenges of human history was religious discrimination.
Yeah.
That so often in Europe, you were expected to adopt the religion of your nationality. Every nation had a more predominant religion, and if you did not conform, they had massive wars over this.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
It was such loss of life and bloodshed that it boggles the mind if you look into the history, okay? The problems with religious discrimination was horrifying, which made the founding of the American Constitution and America with the principle of freedom of religion so friggin' important and game-changing on a global scale.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it can be said that that's the reason America was found by Christopher Columbus, who was a Marrano Jew, who was trying to find
Absolutely.
a Jews.
And they couldn't even get the original Constitution passed with the 5 articles they did have, because people in the colonies came back and said, well, we need to protect our ability to say what we want to say as individuals and as states or colonies without retribution, political and jail time retribution from the government. And by the way, the next thing that we need to make sure of, and this is why it was Amendment 2, was that the people of this country need to always be able to have the right to defend themselves. Right? The Second Amendment says, as necessary to a free state and to a militia, or it's necessary to have a free state and a militia, the rights of the people shall not be, or the rights to bear arms, to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Sorry, I've been up for 14 hours today. It's been a long day since the election. Sorry. Yeah. But the point is that you had to put the Second Amendment in there because it was always intended that the people of the United States would have the ability, if the government ever violated the contract with the colonists, if the federal government ever violated the contract with the 13 colonies that ratified it, that the people and the colonies would always have the physical ability to go, okay, y'all screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to put you out of business, you know? So,
yeah, there's a simplified, there's a saying, what is it? Freedom is when the government fears the people. Tyranny is when the people fear the government.
Not enough people know of the 30 Years' War. Okay. Yeah. The 30 Years' War was a 17th century religious conflict fought primarily in Central Europe. It remains one of the longest and most brutal wars in human history, with more than 8 million casualties resulting from military battles as well as the famine and disease caused by the conflict. The war lasted from 1608 and 1648, starting as the battle among the Catholic and Protestant states that formed the Holy Roman Empire. It was primarily a religious war, and it was insane.
Yep. Isn't it funny, Shad? How isn't it the Holy Roman Empire that Adolf considered the Second Reich?
So the whole Roman Empire is a complicated subject because
I know.
It wasn't holy, it wasn't Roman, it wasn't an
exactly.
Empire, you know?
That was always the joke. Yeah, but he considered it that was either the first or the Second Reich. I can't remember. I think that was the Second Reich that he considered. But I mean, you look back at it, it's like, no, people want to be free. People's natural position in life are to be free. Yes, okay, I'm not an anarchist. I don't think anybody here is necessarily an anarchist, but you know, the idea, the beauty of America was to create a government, a federal government, and this was the classical federalism. I'm a classical federalist in the sense that I believe that the Constitution was a very brilliantly written document that was very well defined and gave the federal government very, very well restricted and explicit powers. And we have deviated, unfortunately, so far from that mark over the years. And this is, quite honestly, and is frankly inarguable, that all of America's problems today is because we have allowed our federal politicians to so radically deviate from the original intended purpose of that brilliant document. And we as a society have largely, over the course of time, become incredibly lazy and complacent, and we've allowed this to happen. But I'm hoping that guys like this on the screen right now with Donald Trump, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's a conservative. He's not. He's much more of a populist. But look, you know, women are supposed to be in the red coats and the white hats right now. My wife, the lovely Mrs. Renegade of 25 years, was a Trump fan before I was. There's a reason for this.
She watched The Apprentice?
No, she didn't. She heard what he was saying. And he's like, he's right. He's totally right.
It was Home Alone 2, wasn't it? It was Home Alone 2.
It was Home Alone 2. It's like, that's how I knew I married the right woman. I got 3 good kids
McDonald's
with her.
Commercials.
So anyway, no, but look, this is it. I've loved the discussion. I was going to hang out longer, but I've got school tomorrow with the kids and work. But Shad, God bless you, man. I appreciate you having me on. This has been an absolute blast. And I'm sorry if, you know, I tend to, when I get passionate about things, I tend to go.
I get it. No, but we're grateful to have you, man. And we wanted to give you the time to be able to share your brilliant thoughts. Dude, thanks for coming on. Genuinely.
Thank you, Shad. And look, we're going to get you on this week or next week, next couple of weeks. You let me know. We'll find a time.
All right. Awesome.
Take care. Have a good night.
Peace. That's you, mate. All right, gentlemen. I probably am going to go a bit longer than usual. I want to get through this video and the super chats, so I'm not going to hold you to it. If you guys need a bounce, just let me know when you need a bounce. That is fine. But I gotta get through it.
Let's go, Shad. Let's do it.
I'll stick around, but I might need to start doing some work here.
Yeah. All right, because again,
I've been doing work.
he shares some really important stuff.
Of American citizens. I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis or disinformation.
Banning federal money. That is so, and I just find it so funny because that's the exact thing what Australian government is doing.
I do like the phrase banning federal money. That's really good. Banning, This in general. Let's
apply that.
Stop sending federal money places.
And I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly.
So he's going to go in like with a scythe and just fire any.
They're going to fire hundreds of people on like the
Oh
first
my
day.
gosh.
They're going to fire hundreds of people.
So many federal like employed people are guilty of this stuff. The FBI was literally getting Facebook to take down posts and censor Twitter when it was Twitter. Oh my gosh, that is so good to hear.
You get on this shit. You need to get your memes ready. Have all your learn to code memes ready to go for all the people getting fired.
I can't wait.
That'd be really funny to access the IRS, because I saw a meme where it's like 187,000 new IRS agents, you're fired. 87,000 new ICE agents, you're hired.
Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI,
anyone in these organizations,
no matter who they are.
If you did it,
Second,
you're
I will
gone.
order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified.
Oh, I love it.
You hear this? You're starting to wonder why they send assassins after him.
Yeah. This is the type of stuff that's making people sweat. It's like if they have been illegally censoring people, he is targeting them and going to be going after them. I love it.
These include possible violations of federal civil rights law.
Sorry, because civil rights is the interesting thing. A lot of people have been bringing up this stuff in Australia. This is an infringement of people's rights, right? And so America has a stronger bulwark about that. And so they're going to find if you legitimately infringed on people's civil rights, he's going to go after them under the law.
Campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters.
Oh, yes.
Right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship.
Now, I don't know if this was done or not, because he was asking the Republicans to do this, because you know that like the people who are guilty of this stuff, they are going to try and wipe the trail.
What was it called? They're going to use a Hillary Clinton app that they use.
Yeah. What did Hillary Clinton do? Like, what did she do? Bleach their servers?
Bleach bit.
Yeah, bleach
bit. It was bleach bit. That was it. Yeah.
Yep.
Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising section.
Oh, yes.
To get big online platforms out of censorship business.
Amen.
This is good because now my comics won't be censored anymore on Indiegogo or whatever. They won't be shadow banned.
Like, genuinely. Now, I have a feeling that
Indiegogo would qualify. It's not a social media platform.
It might. I mean, I think isn't it everything where like you can't shadow ban people if you can shadow ban?
Yeah. Like this is giving a lot of protections, and if Indiegogo tries to censor stuff on their platform, that's editorializing, and so that means, according to what Trump is saying here, they're not going to get Section 230 protection.
But do they? Because they're not a social media company. That's my question.
It doesn't matter. I think this just applies to any online platform. If they start to censor stuff, right? That is editorializing, and therefore they will not get Section 230 protection. That seems like what he's saying. Let's go back a bit. So revising Section 230.
Get big online platforms.
Oh, so he does refer to big online platforms.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
It's not a platform; it's a store, basically.
Oh, gee. I just hope this applies.
I mean, you don't want, but you don't want to be like, oh gosh, I have a porn I want to put on your Christian store website. I'm going to sue you because you're not letting me put my porn.
Well, the idea is that you can get shadow banned under these terms and conditions, and then you can appeal it, and they could say no because you violated these things. The problem right now is that you're getting shadow banned, and your income is being impacted, and you get nothing. You get nothing, no chance to appeal, no reasoning, no way to figure out like what you did wrong. Like, okay, what did I do wrong?
Yeah,
you get nothing in response. So that's kind of the idea here, right? If it is a Christian based platform or store, and you're selling pornography on it, and you shadow ban them or kick them off, they can appeal to it, and you can say no because you violated X, Y, Z, and that's the end of it. But if you didn't violate anything, they have to give you a clear reason.
Yeah,
and if you violate anything, they can't censor you.
Trump talks about this. He mentions that he's going to try and force these platforms to be transparent about who's getting shadow banned
and why.
And why.
Gotcha.
Censorship business. From now
Which I don't think is a big ask, considering like so many more people are getting their major income from the internet these days.
Yes, and people have raised doubts if he will follow through with these promises. And now that we hear that they might be 2 years old, Elon is going to be on the money, on the ball with making sure stuff like this gets through, I reckon, because he is so passionate about free speech. I'm at the moment pretty confident, and that this is going to be pushed through, because Trump, one of the things that surprised people about Trump's first presidency was that he was actively trying to fulfill all his promises and commitments. He was like, people tried to block him and get in the way in Congress and stuff like that, but he was trying to build that wall. He was trying to fulfill all the commitments that he did, and he has a good track record of that. So that's one of Trump's strengths, is that he actually keeps his word when he commits to policy positions.
On digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination. High standards of neutrality, transparency, non-discrimination, and only then will they qualify for Section 230 protection. That is
Yeah.
Love it. We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation.
This is an interesting one, because Elon seems to be one of the few people that really push that, where there's more of that evil crap on Facebook.
Oh, this is why they wanted him assassinated. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, it really does. A lot of people sweating with this stuff. It's like, uh-oh.
And promoting terrorism while dramatically
promoting terrorism. Twitter, I know, Twitch, you are screwed. You are absolutely
screwed. If you could just get the government to declare Antifa a terrorist organization, I think it would be a clean sweep.
Oh, man,
you know what's funny is that he's all this stuff, as Valiant showed earlier, all this stuff has been on his website this entire time, and the left has constantly been saying he doesn't show what he wants to do, and like people are always like, it's all on his website. It's all you just have to go see it. No, it's was it Project 2025? That's what it is. And it's like, no, it's not. It's what he says on his website. Just go look at it, but then nobody would ever look at it. Shad, I'm like sitting here waiting for you to notice my background.
Oh, that's a good looking background you have there. What? I was looking at the chat because Anime Fan 3794, he understands, like, these idiots like Hazan and stuff on Twitch. Twitch has been a bastion for extremists literally promoting terrorism. Like, he shared a terrorism like recruitment video or something like that. He had he interviewed a guy who was like a Houthi terrorist or something like that. I can't remember the exact details, but some of the crap he has pulled, and constantly
Hassan, you say.
All right. Holy crap. And the constant promotion, was it of Hezbollah and stuff that he pushes, like active terrorist promotion by some of the biggest Twitch streamers that Twitch is just allowed to go by unchallenged, right? The targets on him.
Exploitation
and
promoting while
that you are stuffed. Oh, I love it.
Dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech.
Yeah.
Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis and disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs that support this authoritarian project. If any U.S. university is discovered to have engaged in censorship activities or election interferences in the past, such as flagging social media content for removal of blacklisting, Those universities should lose federal research dollars and federal student loan support for a period of 5 years and maybe more.
And maybe more.
We should also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution.
So bureaucrats that have deals with private companies, that backroom dealing. Oh, again, this is one of those.
I felt that was more like people who are going to, the companies and saying, hey, you need to shut these people up.
Okay, yeah.
Like the Biden administration.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country. Furthermore, to confront the problems of major platforms being infiltrated by legions of former deep staters and intelligence officials, there should be a 7-year calling off period before any employee of
I
FBI,
love this. I love
CIA,
this one. Yep.
NSA, DNI, DHS, or DOD is allowed to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data.
That one is brilliant. And it's actually shocking how many former 3-letter, organization employees end up working at social media companies.
It's not that shocking.
It is. It should be. It's like,
look, here's a funny thing. I think I mentioned it on a show maybe a couple months ago or something, but back in the 90s, the only time you ever heard the term disinformation, it was when 3-letter companies were using false information to cover their tracks for nefarious programs and stuff that they were doing, but they wanted the public to think they weren't doing. So it was like a freaking black ops program that 3-letter companies would use. And now it's like, I think they've just continued using it, but now everyone knows what it is because they're using it against us.
Oh my gosh.
Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials.
It just keeps getting better, guys. Due process on social media.
Should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
Furthermore,
getting them good.
This is so good.
He just names the FBI like FBI. I'm watching you.
And
I'm coming for you.
I don't think this is digital ID. This is digital due process, meaning like a digital Bill of Rights. Okay, that means there's a set structure to happen. If content is going to be moved down, you need an actual court order, which means it has to go through due process, which protects people so much more.
It's not regulating the people; it's regulating the companies.
It's regulating the FBI.
Now,
the company.
The company.
So, Tim America says, keep watching. We'll see. So,
or when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should.
No matter what name they use.
They should have a right to be informed.
It's happening.
See, that is like. And so that's going to be in this digital Bill of Rights. If you are getting shadow banned, you are going to have a right
to be informed. So that was my big thing. No. So when they shadow banned my comic in Indiegogo, they didn't even tell me. I had to look into the code. So now it's like, okay, you've been shadow banned for these following reasons, and then you're allowed to appeal that shadow ban.
Yep. Because genuinely, like, I reckon Shadiversity, I've showed multiple sides in different videos of just ridiculous suppression and content not going out to subscribers, content that should be doing better. And also, like, on release, a video doing really good, and then something happens and it just everything drops suddenly. And I'll talk about within the first hour, which rarely ever happens. And it's only happened to me once, and I was like, holy crap, what did this video do to suddenly be put under the boot like that?
I remember like what happened with Sargon, like back way back when he had like what $30,000 a month on Patreon or something.
Yeah.
Boom, gone overnight.
Gone. And you know what's frustrating when people like are skeptical of shadow banning? YouTube has admitted that they do it. Susan Wojcicki literally said that they rate content based on quality, which determines how much recommendations they get, which means they prioritize the content they like and suppress shadow ban content that they don't. She's literally on record saying this. It's a common practice that YouTube does. And so this digital bill of rights is proposing that no. You have to be upfront and tell people if they're not, getting recommended as well as other content, shadow banned, they need to be told. I have a feeling the companies, especially YouTube, they're going to try and weasel their way through and around this. They're not going to want to play ball up front. And so, but at least it's a start, is what I'm saying.
The right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal.
Yep.
In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation.
I like the idea of timely appeal, where it's like, I'll get around it, and it's like, okay, we'll give you an appeal in like 9 months. But no, it's a timely appeal.
Now, this is interesting. All users over the age of 18 have a right to opt out of content curation. Dude, this is huge. YouTube, that's the whole practice of YouTube. They curate the front page and recommendations constantly. I just mentioned Susan Wojcicki has admitted that they rate content based on quality, right? Oh my gosh. And so Trump is saying that the digital bill of rights will have an ability for anyone over 18 to say, do not moderate or affect my recommendations based on, your preferences. Now, for people under 18, I kind of understand, because if you're young, right, there is inappropriate content that you don't want to be in front of children. And so that type of content curation makes sense. But if you're an adult, you should have the right to say, do not restrict anything. Just feed me the internet, basically, unfiltered. And then guess what? People should be able to curate their own recommendations, because you can block the crap you don't want to watch, block the channels that you don't. I do it on Twitter. It's like, all right, I've had enough of this stuff. I'll just block the guy so I don't have to see the stuff that's flooding my feed too much. All right.
Yeah, it'd basically be like when you first join Instagram or something and you just get everything. And then they just learn your personal algorithm.
Man, this is so good. I just freaking love this. Like, this is, like I said, just keeps getting better, man.
Curation entirely, and receive an unmanipulated stream of information.
I love it.
If they so choose.
Oh, that's great.
The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. Speech will begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
That's just
like, I was so happy. I almost bought one of these like weird commemorative coins or whatever they're trying to push. I almost bought one. I'm not that insane yet, but
let's friggin' go. And what I love about this started coming around on Twitter right when, again, the Australian Prime Minister is trying to push his restrictions, his misinformation bill, and banning social media to 16s and under. And by the way, right, that should be the parents' choice to determine when their kids are allowed social media access. I probably won't let my kids use it well past 16, honestly, right? But we'd still let them use Messenger and stuff to contact, friends or us.
Yeah, aren't you? You're supposed to be 18 to be on Twitter, right?
Maybe.
And like Instagram's like 13, I think.
YouTube, I think it's 13.
So
YouTube 13.
I see your super chat, Buddy Rabbit. I know there's a lot of other super chats to get to, but this is pertinent to what we're talking about now. For $5, says, does imply there might require an identification process supplied by the users. If that's a path forward, I'm living in a cabin. I'm not sure.
Well, Instagram, these other things don't. Twitter,
they just say, are you 18?
Yeah.
All right. And it's an opt-in, so therefore it doesn't need to be forcefully imposed through ID verification. It's just like, anyone, if you say you're over 18, you should have the right then to choose to get an unfiltered, thing of information. This is not the same as what Australia is trying to do, because the only way to ban 16 and under from accessing social media flat is for everyone to have a digital ID. That's the only way to, and that, by the way, they've admitted that. The people making the policies have admitted that's the only way to put this forward. And that means anonymity online doesn't exist. So whatever post you make, the government will know who you are and can come and arrest you for posting stuff that they deem to be problematic or misinformation.
Turn off your internet. What level citizen are you? They probably have like the whole thing. What was it called? They have in China, the social credit score. They'll probably have that one pretty soon over there.
I can't believe how bad it's getting. But the thing is, though, what those policies basically almost nuke what Australia is trying to do. At the very least, it means that companies won't be able to play ball and they'll get removed from the country, which could be devastating for me as a content creator, but VPNs, right? And so I think a VPN might be able to say this, but guess what? They want to try and police VPNs as well. They've talked about that. But what will actually happen if they go through with this and these companies get banned in Australia, they'll lose the next election without even a contest, because Australians will get so pissed that because of the government, YouTube got banned in Australia. You think Australians will be happy to lose that stuff? No. They would get absolutely gutted. So that's why I'm actually like, all right, go nuclear, try and be a hardline and not allow and force the companies to comply, which they won't, and then you'll ban them in Australia, and that will be political suicide. Go ahead and do it, you absolute morons.
I think it'll be the same thing if they try to do the whole thing that's coming around now where, okay, Biden, why don't you just step down so Kamala Harris can be the first woman president for like a few months.
I'm pretty sure that'll happen.
if they do that, the Democrat Party, I think, is going to be dead. Because at that point, it's like you shoved this woman down our throats twice. The party of we're going to support democracy put Kamala Harris without getting one vote in, for the primary as the candidate, and then you're going to make her the president anyway, despite the fact that we didn't vote for her again. So they built themselves up on we don't question elections, and democracy is important. And they violated at least the first one, and it seemed like the grassroots people were violating the second one. Like, oh, we demand recounts and forensic interludes and everything. Like, wait a minute, I thought you guys said it was impossible to cheat an election. What happened? It was impossible last time. Was it possible in 2020?
Gothic Mage has an interesting question for me. Shad, at what point would Australia get bad enough to come to the US? So here's the thing, right? I'm a bit of an Australian patriot. I do love this country. And so I'm committed to try and stay here and fight to, do my part. I have a platform. Look, and I can't change the world, but at least I can raise my voice and try and expose some of this crap. And so I don't plan to move to the US. There's only one thing that would, and it's a religious reason. If the church announced it's time to gather Israel and form the New Jerusalem, you'll only know about this if you're familiar with Latter-day Saint doctrine and stuff. That's when I was like, all right, time to gather in Zion, people. And this is not the Israel interpretation.
Zion, Illinois.
And that would make me move to the US, because we actually Latter-day Saints have an interesting doctrine about a New Jerusalem and the gathering of scattered Israel. And Israel is the covenant people of God. It's not the nation of Israel and stuff like that. And so if the prophet actually called for the physical gathering to happen, I'm there. I was like, all right, time to go. That'll get me to go. So here is the video, guys, of them admitting. And I just accidentally... Oh, no, that's there. So here's the video, right? Listen to this.
Of course, if you're testing to see if someone's 13 or 14 or 15 or 16, you're also testing to see, by definition, if they're 16 plus. So if there's going to be age verification, everybody is going to have to go through an age verification process, won't they?
Yes.
Yes, they admit it.
So this isn't
government
just about
admitting
the
it.
privacy or collecting data about kids. This is literally everybody accessing social media.
This
That's
is the
how
plan.
it has to work.
It's a Trojan horse.
Yes, Senator Shoebridge, you just used the term age verification. You may not have been in the room when we had a discussion about the
This is so
distinction between
slimy.
age verification and age assurance. This is an age assurance trial.
That's such a slimy bit of bullcrap. It's like, it's not age verification, it's age assurance. It's the same. It's effectively and functionally the same thing. You slimy, dishonest jerk. I can't stand government bureaucrats. And so they're trying to say, oh, no, it's not age verification. It's just age assurance. Get stuffed. At least the guy doesn't have it and he pushes
It's
back.
called doublespeak.
Yeah, I can't stand political doublespeak. It's so slimy.
This is, if you're going to have age assurance for kids 13, 14, 15,
1984. This is newspeak.
If they're that age, you're testing everyone's age.
Yep.
And you're doing it at that level of age assurance. And that has privacy and data protection implications for literally everybody accessing social media, doesn't it?
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why we've commissioned consumer research to look.
It's like they admit, it's like, yeah, they know what this is. This, like, legitimately, this is already, I think, past the first stage of approval, and it's the banning of social media access for 16 and under. And what it is a Trojan horse, okay, to get digital ID across Australia, which means, again, as I mentioned, anonymity online will be destroyed. The government will know who you are wherever you post, so they can, and they literally knocked down people's doors and arrested them for posts they made on Facebook. They were infuriated that they couldn't do that with anonymous people online and anonymous accounts. They couldn't hunt them down and arrest them. And so
they use the classic leftist argument. It's for the children.
It's for the kids. We're just trying to protect the poor, innocent kids that are being radicalized by extremist content. When what really this is about destroying internet anonymity so the government will know whoever uses it. It's a Trojan horse and it's friggin' evil and disgusting, right? And that's them they're just admitting it.
Shad, don't you care about the children?
Oh my gosh. Thing is, though, stuff like this might just end up saving Australia. This is JD Vance.
The leader, I forget exactly which official it was within the European Union, but sent Elon this threatening letter that basically said, we're going to arrest you if you platform Donald Trump, who, by the way, is the likely next president of the United States. So what America should be saying is, oh, if NATO wants us to continue supporting them, and NATO wants us to continue to be a good participant in this military alliance, why don't you respect American values and respect free speech? Excuse me, it's insane that we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech. I think we can do both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Like, look, I'm not going to go to some backwoods country and tell them how to live their lives, but European countries should theoretically share American values, especially about some very basic things like free speech.
Oh, that is just so brilliant.
Were you showing that to us because he was talking about Australia when he was talking about backwoods countries?
Well, look, the policies they're trying to push is a backwards policy. And here's another thing from that same interview, which is just so
it's insane that we would support a military alliance if that military alliance isn't going to be pro-free speech.
That was the end of the last
one. Both, but we've got to say American power comes with certain strings attached. One of those is respect free speech, especially in our European allies. Yeah. Like, look, I'm not going to go.
Okay, so it's the same one. But, oh my gosh, that is so great. And I genuinely hope that they apply that standard to Australia.
Does Vance wear eyeliner? It looks like he's wearing eyeliner there.
I think he's just got really thick eyelashes.
Thick eyebrows? Thick eyelashes, yeah.
Turns out he's a punk rocker.
He's a punk rocker, goth. He's a Magic the Gathering guy. So
he's a Bitcoiner. He's the biggest crypto holder in the government now.
Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, though, listen to this
so happy.
thing. This is from our prime minister. This is from our prime minister. I think it was actually a couple of years ago where he was a bit less selective with his, words. And this is actually what his goal is. This is what he wants to do. This isn't just about banning social media for 16 and under. Listen to this.
I'll give you the perfect world, okay? You've got no caucus to answer to. You've got no federal Labor Party conference. You've got no elections. You've got no opinion polls. You are dictator for 5 years. What do? What's your first act?
The big frustrating thing, if I could do something, maybe ban social media, would be...
He would ban social media. If he could, he would just ban it. And you know one of the reasons why? It's because social media clowns on this idiot because he deserves it. They make memes of him and he can't stand it. He has such thin skin that he would just ban all social media. And also, social media is a wrench in his narrative because it constantly exposes how full of crap this guy is. He constantly lies about so many things. Social media exposes him. And so, and you know, a lot of the Australian media is leaning left, by the way, especially the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, the ABC, which is just a friggin' joke. Okay. And so this is why the misinformation and that disinformation bill gives an exemption to large media corporations. I kid you not. They will not be censored, all right, under the bill. But social media will, because that's the thing that threatens him. And it's all about control, locking down the narrative, and stopping the truth from getting out. Gosh,
I'm sure that's his reason, but America, the world was probably a better place before social media.
It's a double-edged sword.
It is.
It broke apart the narrative control that mainstream media
that
had.
is true. That is
sword, actually so important. Okay. Now anyone who has the internet and a camera or just any recording device can get their voice out, and that's a game-changing thing. But there is a lot of crap. Don't get me wrong. I don't let my kids use social media, but that's because I don't need the freaking government to raise my kids. I'm going to do it because I'm a responsible parent. Oh my gosh. So that's where we're at. And look, probably going to have to wrap it up, guys. Of course, we're going to get the super chats and then wrap it up because I'm really grateful for everyone who has dropped.
Yeah, I think you've only read 2 super chats this entire.
I know. We got a bit too many, and we had such good conversations that
$100 one in there somewhere.
That was Valiant Renegade, so I think we got Valiant's one, but we got a decent amount that let's get to because you guys are legends, and there's been a lot of conversation today. So I'll need to go back a bit and find where we are up to. There's the Valiant's one. Okay.
I don't think you caught many.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah. Oh, wait.
Now, this episode was chock full of people talking constantly.
Which is, it's been a really great stream, honestly.
Yeah.
So there's one from Anime Fan, and I think we covered this. Maybe the Japanese could have beat the emus. How dare you, sir? Yeah, we got Alexander Cross's. Okay, all right. So Alexander Cross for $2 says Donald Trump beats women at presidential races, which is this is objectively true. Buddy Rabbit $5 says unrelated. I apologize for the rambling the other week, Royce. A good talk though. Now to send my apology cash to Shad. Oh, thank you, Buddy Rabbit. Judah for $5 says 11 U.S. embassy evacuations under Joe. Some was weather, but 3 are technically abandoned. Never has the U.S. abandoned an embassy. Thank God we have a press. President, I think. Very interesting. Thank you for the super chat. Avatar Love $5 says, I've seen some lefties admit maybe they did steal the election last time. What happened to 60 million voters? Did they die to climate change? Now that number does go down as more votes come in. I think it's going to end off at around the 11 million mark, I think. But still, it's a crazy difference.
Oh my gosh. They might have just died from the vaccine.
a lot of deaths.
It might be a mixture of that and the fact it never existed. So it's that's now we know how many ghost voters we had.
Yeah. We are Harbringer for $5 says Democrats are the party of grifters, hence why they're being very racist to Hispanics now, and they're doubling down on sexism against men. A lot of them are.
They want to deport us all, even though we're not illegal. So
did you see how shocked Charlemagne de God was when he was told that 1/3 of all?
Oh, I did. You're like,
all minorities.
My favorite part about all this, like they were so certain that the 1 million Puerto Ricans in Florida would turn it blue. It didn't. Not only did the Puerto Ricans not be like, oh yeah, I really want to afford eggs and gas and money and rent and provide for my family, but the guy told a joke, and now I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris so I can maintain 4 more years of this torment. It's like they didn't think that way, and what happened was not only did Florida not flip blue, Puerto Rico went red, and it was crowding achievement there.
Yep. Scarfy the Strange, sorry, for $5 says when 2 Karens asked to see America's manager, Trump stepped in as manager. That's right. Gemini 499 says what those leftists are saying about Mexicans and Arabs right now. Oh boy, that's spicy. It's like, look, the left, the extreme left, have been the most racist people around for ages. Oh, yeah. Also, I'm proud of my native brothers and sisters. Well done, mate. Techno Manarchist, sorry. The 10 Australian says Trump's plan for free speech seems to align with digital ID, though, requiring you to ID yourself if you want to access uncensored social media. No ID, and you stay censored. So we did address that, and I think Techno, you mentioned a couple of times, and so it looks like it's just it's a statement of age. Anyone over 18 or over can choose to opt in to have unfiltered results, and there was no mention of digital ID there. Look, if it comes up, I'll be certainly watching for anything like that.
Because I would like to point out that, as you did before, that is the parents' job.
Yeah.
You don't have to give your kids a cell phone. You don't have to give your kids a computer. That is all up to you. And what programs you allow on those things is up to you. So,
Avatar Love for $2 says American Dream, McDonald's employee to president. I think Trump qualifies as a McDonald's employee now. I think
he sent a resignation letter. He sent an official resignation to McDonald's because he's going to be president.
Then we got Valiant Renegades, big super chat again. We'll thank you for that. You're a legend, mate, and thanks for coming on. We loved having him. Avatar Love for $2 says should have been make affordable groceries again. It effectively was. Like a lot of people were just like, yeah, I want affordable groceries. We are Harbringer for $20 says, hey, Shad, did you hear? I'm going to add a dictator, Daniel Andrews. Dictator Dan was appointed to deal with youth mental health. Really? So he was the Victorian premier during the lockdowns, and he was true scumbag. He was the one responsible for so much of the police violence and the lockdowns and locking people away. And he's vile guy.
And the camps.
And he's going to be appointed to deal with mental health, really. Also, the social media ID thing, Trump giving an ultimatum to the EU on messing with X might mean Trump saves our butts. Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. All right. Because the digital ID and misinformation bill, if Trump enacts these policies, they will not be able to comply with Australian, laws because of American laws literally disallowing it, which would be friggin' brilliant. Hopefully that'll get him to reel it back, or you idiots go ahead, institute it, and you're going to commit political suicide because you're following your World Economic Forum masters. You're not following what the Australian people want. Like, this crap is not being voted on. Like, do a referendum on him. Have some balls. Step up. Just see how many people, because he's been gaslighting people because, like, Australians believe misinformation is a problem that needs to be dealt with. All right, prove it, you friggin' coward. Make a referendum on. Let the Australian people vote on it. You know he won't, because he knows he's lying. He's absolutely full of it. All right? Can't stand these dishonest scumbag politicians. He'll never do that because it would get destroyed, just like the Voice referendum. Okay, It's a coward, lying scumbag that is just trying to push this through to protect himself, to try and entrench power so he can control the narrative. And I honestly think because there's some greasing of the palms behind closed doors happening. But still, thank you for the super chat. We are Harbinger. Avatar Love it, $5 says, the reason lefties are freaking out is because they think we're as bad as they are. They wanted to put us in camps. They wanted us to die. Projection. Oof. Good point. Good point. WDW Pro for $19.99 says, Shad on fire tonight. Free Australia. You all used to be known as brass. Let's bring it back. I know, right? Australians used to have a great reputation for being, tough, hard, a hard country. Now, and look, there's a lot of Aussies that still are legends, okay? It's just the ones that seem to get the attention and represent Australia on the global stage, like our Prime Minister.
Don't forget the breakdancer.
Breakdancer, man. Have you heard of
the new icon of Australia?
Have you heard of The Office Australia? Don't look it up. Don't. I'm glad people are already forgetting about it. It's another thing to just be ashamed of. So, you're looking it up now, aren't you? Bastard.
What is it on Netflix?
I don't know, but it's The Office Australian version, and it just looks so bad.
Oh wait, I did see that.
Yeah,
that did look bad. They need an Australia Love is Blind or Married at First Sight.
Mm-hmm.
We watch all those shows, me and my wife.
Okay, so Avatar Love for $2 says, have you heard about the program in Amsterdam? I have not. I do not know that, unfortunately, but still thank you for the super chat. Jonas J. Campbell for $9.99 says, why is my boss on here? I think that might be referring to Valiant Renegade because he's a legend and we like having him. Judah for $2 says, all the voters died from the flu. I mean, COVID. I mean, something happened to them. Avatar Love for $2 says, Mitt Romney, what a rhino. We call him SHIT Romney. And thank you for the super. Mario Trujillo. I got it right that time.
You got it right.
I remembered. For $5 US. In the words of George Carlin, have you noticed the people who complain about sex are the ones who wouldn't want to F in the first place? God bless.
Speaking of George Carlin also called out the whole conspiracy thing about the government, and one guy there was like, oh, there's no conspiracy. He's like, you don't need an actual conspiracy. These guys all go to the same schools, they all go to the same places, they all run in the same circles. Like, you don't need to open a conspiracy, they all just naturally hang around each other. That's why you got two political parties, 2 oil companies, and 10,000 choices for donuts.
Taker 610 for $5 says, the idiotic new trend on Facebook is threatening violence against anyone who says your body, my choice. Trouble is they are telling their child that. The unborn child? Yep. They're killing that child. And they're basically effectively saying your body, my choice to that child. Thank you for the super chat. John Goats for $5 says there's a number of them. So we'll get to a couple of John Goats' one. He says, the great thing this election was everything that we were told was fringe ideology turns out to be what got low propensity voters out. Yep. It's like, this is just extremist fringe, this MAGA movement. It's not mainstream. Most people aren't on board with that. Yeah, how did that go for you?
Yeah, that was do you see Bill Maher? Bill Maher was like, oh, there might be like 100,000 people voted for Trump. People are tired of Trump. They're not going to vote. He's going to lose. Kamala Harris is going to get the popular vote, and Trump is down to his last few voters, last few diehard 100,000 people.
It was astonishingly delusional, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of weird for Bill Maher. Usually he has like some interesting things to say, but this time he's like, oh yeah, Trump's gonna lose. Kamala Harris has got it. Like, no, you got literally like everything wrong.
I mean,
keep in mind, Bill lives in Hollywood.
Yeah,
so
he lives in a bubble. There's a lot of
people.
There was a lot of people that were in their bubbles were so sure Kamala was going to win by a landslide. It's like they're not paying attention at all. Mark of Reality for $10 says, how is the Australian government going to censor Americans from talking about Australian politics? They're not going to be coming here and prosecuting people. Same for the British police. So what they are trying to do, right, is to have they want to force the social media companies to take down misinformation based on an approved misinformation code. So they saying that every social media company must make a misinformation code approved by the Australian government. And then they need to police it. And so they want them to be more censorious and to police themselves. And by doing that, they want to force the social media companies to then have that policy just on their platform globally. That's how they want to try and take down posts in other countries, because they want to force those platforms to police it globally. And then they also will have an ability to demand based on, so they have an ability to enforce that code. So they're like, all right, you've made this code for misinformation. We as the Australian government now will watch you and then deem if you are enforcing that code properly the way that they arbitrarily judge it. And so if they find a post on their platform that the government thinks is misinformation, they will go to the platform and say, according to the policy that we forced you to make, you need to take down this post yourself based on the policy that you have made, that we forced you to make, this code. And if you don't, then the Australian government will fine them an obscene amount of money. That's how they plan to try and do it. It's retarded. Okay, but that's what they try to do. That's why it's actually far more pernicious than people realize, because it's an attempt to censor platforms globally across the entire world. That's how unbelievably insane it is.
I think Australia is getting a little big for its britches. Why don't you guys settle down there? We'll take care of it.
The ultimate result is companies like X. I don't know about Facebook, but I'd like to think Facebook will just say, get stuffed. We're not going to pay your fines. We have to obey American law, which is hopefully the policies that Trump will instill. And that means the only result then will the platform get banned in Australia, which might be devastating, but it'll also be political suicide. So do it. I friggin' dare you. And then you'll just get destroyed in the next election, and these policies will be reversed. Vote One Nation. So that's kind of the breakdown of what's going on, and that's what they are trying to do. Still, thank you for the super chat. Then John Goetz again, $5 for a part 2, says they thought we wanted moderation of ideas and regulation on the internet under the guise of eliminating hate speech and misinformation. It's all a false front. It's a Trojan horse. Like, oh, misinformation is a problem. No, that's just a Trojan horse for the government to basically stop people from exposing their lies. Knight James II for $5 says, hello, everyone. As an American, I cannot tell you how relieved I am that Trump got elected and elected so handily. My faith in humanity was affirmed. It is encouraging, isn't it? And, you know, there's those moments. And honestly, we had a moment like that.
I don't have to move.
Oh, man. We had a moment like that in Australia when the voice referendum was just destroyed by the Australian people, when they actually allowed the Australian people to be informed on it and then vote for it. And that was affirming. But the problem is, and the reason why we have a retarded left-wing government in power at the moment is because the right-wing government started going left-wing. They're two heads of the same snake. It's a uni-party problem. And so the right-wing government, which is the Liberal, it's called the Liberal or Nationals or Coalition in Australia, because the coalition is a formation of two large parties, the Liberals and Nationals. So that's why it's complicated, right? They started to pander to woke city goers to try and get their vote. And that just caused the Conservative vote to say, screw you, and didn't vote for them. And most of it, and so as a result, Labor, which is the left-wing party here, got into power, not necessarily because they got heaps of, they got more votes than the people who don't want them in power. It's that the Conservative Party basically betrayed core conservative values, pandering to woke policies and stuff, and they shot themselves in the foot. And that's why we have a left-wing government in power at the moment. And I didn't vote for
the Republicans have been doing that ever since George Bush Sr.
Right? And so there is a truly based politician and party that is against censorship, was against the lockdowns and everything. It's Pauline Hanson's One Nation, and she's got my vote this year, 100%. She was the one that actually spoke up against people getting banned off platforms entirely, Trump getting banned off of Twitter, and multiple things. So good on her.
Real quick,
you got to say something?
Yeah, an honest doubter says, does this mean Doug Tenable can return from exile? Where is that lovely man? He was here earlier. He left about an hour ago. So you can rewind if you want to watch it. He was here for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, it was great having him on. It was great having Valiant Renegade on. You know, man, having fun. All right, so back on. So that was Alexa here, My Faith in Humanity Restored. John Goetz for $5, part 3. The moment that almost ended all this, the attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, happened 15 minutes from my home. That day turned into the great turning point. It really did. It really did. Like, I genuinely believe Trump was saved by divine intervention. The fact that he turned his head at that exact moment. I mean, I'm sorry, Chance.
By the way, I think it's pronounced Getz.
Like, to me, was it Getz? Goats? I'm bad with pronunciation.
Well, there was this guy that apparently had this vision during the eclipse, and it was like way before that even happened that Trump would get shot at, it would miss, it would nick his ear, and that he would go on to win the election, and everything panned out pretty well.
Who was that? I want to see that.
You haven't seen that? No, I saw that as well. And so the fact that
the shooter, was it?
You know,
it was some guy.
There was a truly evil plan to murder the one guy who was going to really attack the corruption in America and the government and fight for important principles of goodness and righteousness. Free speech, right, is such an important thing. Okay, and that there was a plan of truly evil, individuals to try and murder this man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just find it very interesting that it was that plan that probably had the greatest impact on leading Trump to victory. It's like,
that's why my mom voted for the first time in her entire
exactly.
life.
Like this evil, and I don't like. I suspect there was more people involved with that. Like, there's so many suspicious things about it. I think there is a shadow group of people that use signs and combinations and inclusion in the shadows to try and push evil things. I believe this is part of the prophecy of the last days, honestly. I do believe that it's actually happening, and that they planned to try and remove the person that was going to, end their evil designs, and God used that and turned it around on them. It's like, all right, you're going to try and do something that's evil. I'm going to make it be the thing that causes your defeat. And the more evil you go, the more it's going to destroy yourselves. And that's what we've been seeing. The more insane the left has been going, the more it's been turning people against them. It's like, keep going, shave your heads, keep going nuts. And you can't, stop the designs of God. He has a plan. I do believe that, and that's going to be going forward. Thank you for the super chat, John. Gets or goats? I'm bad at pronunciation because I'm a retard. Night James the second.
Australians just so stuck with your accent that you can't speak other people's.
It happens. We're proud of it. James Knight the second, $5 says, and I can't wait to celebrate Christmas and wish everyone a full-throated peace on earth and goodwill to man. Man, James, you've touched on something. Like, my favorite Christmas song is I Heard the Bells on Christmas Day. And the powerful primary line of that is peace on earth, goodwill to men. I genuinely I get emotional when I think about the lyrics of that. Like, if you listen to I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar melody play. And long and sweet the words repeat of peace on earth, goodwill to men. I wondered how as the day had come, the belfries of all Christendom, long and sweet the words repeat. I'm butchering the words, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. But this is the powerful one. Then in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then pealed the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, and right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. my favorite Christmas song, because I truly believe that, because that is the ultimate goal. Like, I genuinely, what
I don't
did
think I've
the
ever heard that song before.
Yeah, it's, dude, look it up. And it actually has a powerful story behind it, because the author of it was a poet. And he wrote the first few verses before he received a letter that his son had died in the war that had been going on at the time.
Oh, man.
And then that's when he wrote the verse, in despair I bowed my head, there is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And so he wrote that in the greatest depths of tragedy, hearing that his son had died. And then it ends with this anthem, and trust in God that the wrong shall fail and right prevail, with peace on earth and goodwill to men. And that is the ultimate goal in the Christian message. At the birth of Christ, the angels appeared in the sky. And what was their message? What was their triumphant proclamation? That because Christ was now born and he would save all mankind, what would that achieve? They proclaimed peace on earth and goodwill to men. That is the purpose of Christianity. That's the purpose of the gospel. That is the ultimate goal of goodness, that even if you're not Christian, if you want to fight for what is right, the goal that you want to achieve is that you want to achieve peace on earth and goodwill to men. That is the encapsulation of what we should want to achieve. And so when you say that, man, that gets me in the heart. It really does, because that is the goal and desires of what I want for the world. And what we should all be fighting for is that peace on earth and goodwill for men. Thank you for the super chat, James. John Goetz for $5. This is number 4 of 5, says, after that Elon endorsed, RFK Jr. got a call, who is part of the Democrats' greatest political family, and everyone saw the media still spin. Then he continues for $5. They couldn't hide their hatred anymore. Former Democrat and third parties said enough. The disillusioned voters said that guy is different. This is an important moment. It is an important moment in the world. And I have high hopes for the next 4 years at the very least. Let's hope it continues, right? Let's hope it continues.
I mean, it's already sounding pretty good.
Sounding great, man. Sounding great. Knight James II for $10 says, Royce is absolutely right. I was feeling the same thing for a while now. I think people are starting to realize we don't need to ask permission to do the right thing anymore. We never should ask the permission to do the right thing. You just do the right thing. Thank you for the super chat. John Getz for $5 says, I've been happy after elections before, but never have I had a weight off my shoulders and stress relieved like this. I stand straighter and prouder. US or us. Great. Yeah. It's a good moment.
It's like the opposite of when Obama got elected.
Yeah. And look, as Doug said, things might still get hard, still have to fight for what's right. At least at this moment, you can take a moment and just be pleased with the victory.
You guys want to see who I'm fighting?
Avatar Lover for $2 says, I miss the way he said China. He did say that, fighter. China. Slosher for 10 Canadian says, 3-letter agencies were telling these private companies who to ban during COVID. What did Mussolini call the merger of corporations and the state?
Fascism?
What indeed? Fascism. Avatar Lover $5 says, think of it this way, Shad. At least we aren't Moroni wandering alone in the woods for 40 years, constantly worried about his life. Yeah. Look, if you don't know how the Book of Mormon ends and what's, how Moroni ended his mortal life, there's a powerful story there. Thank you for the super chat, mate. Avatar Love for $2 says, people forget the founding fathers were felons against the British government. You're American, guys. You can confirm this.
Yep.
Fighting for freedom.
They're traitors.
Yeah. Yep. Aiken for $7.99 Australian. Good to see an Aussie. Thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to RFK exposing food and pharma industries.
I know.
It's going to be great.
I'm so glad about this personally, because it's like the whole health issue to me, and the freaking fraud that is the American Medical Association, the FDA, and all of that stuff is so important to me. And a guy like RFK, I don't think would ever get elected, but putting him in place where he can actually go after those guys and expose all the. Did you guys know that back before Pfizer started funding every single media company out there, they used to do pieces on how the flu vaccine was actually bad for you? Weird, huh? But no, they haven't done that since Pfizer pays all their freaking bills.
I get
don't even get me started. This is a huge topic for me, and I'm so stoked that RFK is going to get in there, because he's so based about all of this stuff.
Oh, it's great.
He's going to freaking rip it apart, man. So stoked.
And Aiken continues, when there is a healthy human specific diet that none of the industries promote. Yeah. It's actually kind of shocking, some of the stuff that's in American food. I'm sorry. Because look, strengths and weaknesses, different countries. Australia actually does really good with their food health and safety regulations. That's one thing of the regulations that actually is a good job. Our food is actually very safe.
Well, we're the only retarded country that allows freaking GMO in our food.
There's some crazy stuff that's happening in America with American food. And so, yes, RFK, go in there and just gut it. Okay. Yeah. Good on him, man. Andrew Valdez for $4.99 says, "Oh, so this video is all things Trump has promised and not acted on. That's funny. How can he act on it yet? It's not president yet." So, but he has promises, and he has shown a good track record when it's in power to follow through on those. And
that's
so
right. He tried. Yeah. He was trying to keep
everyone of his
own party and his enemy party. So.
And he still found a way. He still started to build that wall, even with all the, bull crap they were trying to stop him with. Yep. And so he has shown by his actions that he is committed to following through with his promises. Nathan Cassidy for $4.99 says, as Dave Campbell once said, the Second Amendment is there to cast the first one in case the first one doesn't work. Indeed. Avatar Love $5 says, first battle of the American Revolution, Lexington and Concord, were caused in part because the British tried to seize the Americans' weapons. Yep. Mark of Reality, good to see you, mate, for $10 says, I'm a U.S. constitutional scholar. You all have been talking about the Bill of Rights, so I have a reading assignment for you. Origins of the Bill of Rights by Leonard W. Levy. Interesting. Might give that a look. Thank you, Mark of Reality. Appreciate you, man. Techno Manarchist for $10 says, Trump said that you could only get access to the unmoderated social media if you prove you're over 18. He didn't actually say that. He didn't say you have to prove it. That will require connecting your accounts to an ID. This will be bringing back digital ID. Keep watching. And yeah, we have addressed that already in the stream. That seems to be opt-in by choice. And so that's, as we mentioned, we don't think that's digital ID. If it is, we'll call it out. But look, Techno, good on you for trying to be attentive and be, because you need to be on watch for any of this type of stuff. So I appreciate you, man. Anime Fan 37.94 for $5 says there was a game somebody made showing quotes that you had to guess Twitch or terrorist. Most quotes when Kershaw played it were from Hassan's streams. Of course they were. That's hilarious. Twitch or terrorist, man.
That makes sense, yeah.
Twitch is awful. The insane extremists that it has fostered and cultivated, because it's all part of the management. The management has banned so many other people off their platform and has pushed up, right? Promoted these extremists because they have a political agenda.
Twitch hired that deer person to moderate.
I know, right? Twitch is just awful. Oh my gosh. Take a 610 for $5 says, and most importantly, YouTube has to tell you what to fix when they won't send your super chats instead of saying message not sent, edit and try again. Yeah, wouldn't that be helpful if they told you what they're banning? Buddy Rabbit for $5 says, Shad, does this imply they might require identification personally supplied by the user? If that's the path forward, I'm living in a cabin. I think we addressed that as we're talking about the digital ID, and we caught that one. So thank you, Buddy Rabbit. And Buddy Rabbit again for $10 says, the way sites would avoid the legal ramifications would ask for verification. That's all they'd have to do. Yeah. The only upside is any picking up that people don't want it would create competition. Yeah, but I think that's all. It's like, are you over 18? If you say yes, you have the option to opt in or out of moderated suggestions, which I think is a friggin' brilliant idea. And it makes sense that it needs to have an age type of, statement, because kids should not have unfiltered results on the internet. Of course, the internet is a vile cesspool that people should have the right to choose to wade through the muck if they so choose to do so. And they shouldn't have that denied for them if they're willing to brave the dangers, because the internet is a hairy place. But as an adult, I can make that choice. I can handle, that was a post that wasn't really, nice on the eyes. I might just, I can moderate stuff myself. I can say, all right, thanks. I'm not going to want to see anything. I can do that myself. I don't need the friggin' platforms to, curate the results for me, because we've already seen what they suppress and censor. But thank you for the super chat, Buddy Rabbit. Good to see you again, mate. Avatar Love $2 says, Trump must identify as a woman when inaugurated. Might help him out with the left, doesn't it? No,
that way he'll be the first female president.
Okay.
He'll steal that away from him.
So Alexander Cross $5. Sorry, what?
I thought that was Obama.
It definitely wouldn't be Michelle Obama if she ran.
No. Alexander Cross for $2 says, reminds me of the British thing where tax evasion is illegal, but tax avoidance is fine. I wonder what that was referencing on the conversation. Because sometimes the super chats are, directly to what we're talking about, and then we lose the context because we keep going. And we actually have a couple more, actually a good chunk more. So I just have to refresh and catch up to where we are at, because you guys are legends. Okay, so we got that one. Lack of reality. Here's Buddy Rabbit. Okay, I think Seth or Whitebeck for $10 says, glad to be able to confidently afford a super chat. You guys are great, and I look forward to being able to catch your streams from now on. Hell yes! Love that you guys, so many people are becoming regulars here on the Culture Crusade. We love to see you coming back and seeing familiar faces.
Yeah, we were over 600 earlier.
Yeah, and look at this. He says, buying a super chat verifies I'm at least 18, huh? There's a simple way to do it right there. Twitter, you pay for, what is it? It's not the subscription, but you just pay for verification on Twitter. And you actually, I love the fact that you get unlimited length posts and some of the other features. You get access to Grok AI if you're... so I actually think it's worth, and it's a very small amount, and it handles issues with bots and other things like that. It also is a type of age verification if it needs it. It doesn't ban people from it.
And it allows you to get paid.
And you can get monetized on X. So, there are ways to do it without digital ID. Avatar Lover for $2 says, a bunch of people tried to off a bunch of Jewish, really. That's and there's horrifying stuff happening in the world. Avatar Lover again, $2 says, soccer fans in Amsterdam the other day. Oh, so that's what happened. Oh, gosh. Buddy Rap for $2 says,
oh, yeah, that was crazy. That was nuts.
Man, yeah. Buddy Rap for $2 says, you mean Mars writers? Mar is pretty funny off the cuff, so I don't know if he has writers.
No. That was a conversation. That wasn't a bit.
Okay.
What we were talking about earlier.
Oh, hang on. Sorry, I'm getting mixed up. This is Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. Yeah, he was having a conversation with Dr. Phil.
Mm-hmm. We Are Harbinger, $5 says libertarians were also against all the stuff, not just one. So there's a libertarian party that is also against all this stuff, not just one nation, even UAP to some extent. I've actually met some libertarian candidates, good people. I've heard libertarian party actually isn't that bad, so I might be giving them a closer look. Thank you for the super chat. We Are Harbinger. Cyan Bloodbane for $50. Dude, thank you very much. He says, so on my deployment to Afghanistan, I came home with a left-handed saber from about 100 years ago. That sounds cool. If you want pictures, let me know. Share them on Twitter, man. I'd love to see them. Hell yeah. You might know that I do like swords. And Buddy Rabbit for $2 says, speaking of cesspool, how about that run behalf? Well, I have a recent video I dropped last night on Run Behalf and what's going on with that. And yeah, the localizers, they're doing what localizers do. They're purposely mistranslating things for a more woke interpretation, and they deserve to be fired. They're not doing their jobs. It's a betrayal of trust, and I can't stand it. Check out my video where I drop the receipts and have the help from the Metatron in that video. Avatar Love for $2 says, I'm so thankful for catching you live. Thank you for catching us, mate. We appreciate you. I love having you. And that is all the super chats caught up on. And we've gone longer today, but it was worth it because what a heck of a stream, man. This was fun.
Yeah. A lot longer.
It was great. We had Doug and Valiant Renegade join us, and I'm loving the Culture Crusade. And so I think we also had, for the Culture Crusade specifically, record viewership, 600 live viewers at one point, which is brilliant. And let's just keep it going. So that's right. Smash like and subscribe, everyone. We love seeing you joining us regularly. Appreciate you all. But now it is time to sign off. So I hope everyone has a great time. We will see you next week. Appreciate you all. And as always, stay on watch.
God bless us, everyone.
God bless us. Peace on earth, goodwill to men.
Goodwill to men.